Good evening. Welcome to the October 8th regularly scheduled town board meeting of the town of Oneonta. Will you please rise for the pledge? Get started. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As you can see, there's a lot of people here. We generally start with the privilege of the floor. We will continue with that, but a couple of ground rules before we start. Please, we're going to limit comments to 3 minutes per person. Please remember, this is a town board meeting. Please keep decorum, appropriate language. If you cannot do that, I'm going to ask you to leave. These are not to be personal attacks on anyone. I know there's some charged atmosphere in here, but we're all part of the same community, so let's please keep this tactful. I will recognize petitioners at this time.
Where I'll start. Will Rivera, Town of Oneonta, 1 Blanchard Avenue.
Will, I was recognizing Teresa.
Oh.
Thank you. My name is Teresa, and I'm here tonight as the applicant behind the project, but most importantly, as a woman, a minority, and a professional who has faced hostility, misinformation, and prejudice throughout this process. At the very first town board meeting I attended, I was subject to a direct public threat made by Jim Hurtubise. That moment was not only inappropriate, it was frightening. No person, regardless of background or profession, should ever fear for their safety while participating in a lawful and transparent community process. That incident has stayed with me, and it has made me question how welcoming this community truly is to anyone who looks different, thinks different, and brings new ideas. My right to feel safe while participating in a lawful public process is non-negotiable and must be protected by this board. Since that night, I've received a number of racist, hateful, and threatening messages through my company's website. These messages are not only about my project's facts or scope, they're about me, about my skin color, my ethnicity, and who I am, such as "go back to your country," "enjoy this" during a meeting, "this town doesn't want you," "go the hell and stay out of Oneonta, New York." These words were cruel and dehumanizing. I've documented every single one of these messages and have already begun the process of sharing them with local and federal law enforcement. It is heartbreaking to experience this kind of hate in 2025. What should have been a discussion about zoning and progress has instead become a platform for racism and personal attacks. This is unacceptable, and it reflects far more than the individual spreading this hate than it ever will on me. Throughout this process, I have watched my project be misrepresented and distorted by those who refuse to understand it. It has been repeatedly and falsely labeled as a data center. That label is not only inaccurate, it is misleading and irresponsible. This is not a commercial data center. It is a research and development initiative that integrates AI technology with sustainable agriculture using hydroponics and renewable heat reuse to make farming more viable and economically responsible. At the 2013 August 13th, 2025 meeting, a woman stood here and said, I quote, "Yes, I spent a little time looking at Oneonta company, analyzing it, which is my background. I specialize in analyzing companies for 4 years, and what I found is that it's a subsidiary of a company based in Mumbai, India, that has a 600-acre data center operation near Mumbai and another one in Delhi. That statement is completely false. Oneonta is not a subsidiary of a foreign company, and there is no connection whatsoever to any operation in Mumbai or Delhi. For someone claiming professional expertise in analyzing companies, this level of willful fabrication is not just an error, it is disqualifying and should be alarming to anyone who values truth and credibility. It is a clear demonstration of an intent to mislead the public. And yet, such inaccuracies have been allowed to circulate freely, shaping public perception based on rumor rather than fact. Before I close, I want to make a broader point, one that extends beyond this specific project. When someone seeks or holds any position of public leadership, there's an obligation to speak from a place of truth, integrity, and responsibility. Public statements, especially about projects or issues that impact a community, should be based on facts, not personal interpretation or political convenience. Leaders should educate, not incite. They should clarify, not confuse, and they should never use their platform to spread fear for personal or political gain. When individuals who aspire to lead a town contribute to misinformation, they don't just mislead, they divide. And division is the very opposite of leadership. In closing, I would like to say this. I came to Oneonta with good intentions to build something forward-thinking, rooted in education, sustainability, and collaboration. I have shown transparency at every stage, opened my doors, shared my plans, and welcomed dialogue. What I did not expect was to be met with threats, hate, and prejudice. Yet I am still here because I believe in truth, fairness, and progress grounded in integrity. I ask this board and everyone listening tonight to rise above fear and misinformation, look at the facts, and ask yourself if you want to be remembered as a community that resisted innovation and allowed harassment, or one that had the courage to uphold integrity and embrace a future grounded in facts. And I'm submitting this to you so that the minutes are reflected accurately.
Will, I think you were second.
First, I do want to recognize, thank you for being brave and sharing that, and also I do condemn any hate or bias against any person of color or women or gendered violence at all. And so I don't ask that you do that at all. And me being a person of color, I can understand some of the ways that she may feel as well, and do not condone that. So please make sure that the message is going to every one of your homes at the end of this meeting. So tonight I'm asking the board to reject the PDD rezoning, publish the full application, and adopt a short moratorium while the code is being reviewed in public. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge the board. You have a difficult job. You balance family, work, and the responsibility of representing your neighbors. I want to thank you for being here and ask everyone in attendance to remember that we're all part of this community. We all care deeply about Oneonta, and that shared love should guide how we speak to each other tonight. Now, I came here with no information about this application beyond what was posted on the town agenda and a social media post from someone with direct knowledge. That alone should concern everyone in this room. We ask about facts, but we do not know what the facts are. The proposal by Yoda has undergone 2 changes, and now a data center, from a data center to an AI research facility, and now we will learn what is next. But despite all the rebranding, one thing hasn't changed. They're asking to rezone 150 acres of residential and agricultural land into a PDD, giving themselves the keys to expand if they choose. Data centers consume a substantial amount of energy. A medium-sized OpenAI data center uses electricity to power enough 400 homes. And when that much power is drawn, it doesn't come without cost. Someone pays, and it's never the developer, it's the people. When the proposed use isn't allowed, there's a process for that to go to the zoning board of appeals, but rezoning land parcel by parcel based on what one developer wants is spot zoning, and that is illegal in New York. I have asked for a moratorium on projects like this to ensure that the community is protected. While the code is reviewed, updated, and brought forward for public comment, that's the only responsible path forward. People are anxious because they've watched this proposal shift and grow with limited public information. And if you do a simple Google search, you'll find investigative reports and research from across the country showing the environmental and financial harm data centers are causing. We've read quotes from neighbors in towns just like ours who are struggling to afford power, facing water shortages, and watching their quality of life erode with no way out. I understand we're weeks away from an election, and I know how tempting it can be to wait or to rush a decision until after. I'm asking you to do neither. Publish the full materials and adopt a short moratorium immediately. I support smart, transparent growth that builds opportunity without sacrificing who we are, but this isn't that. Please put politics aside, lead with care, and put the people of Oneonta first. Once our water is gone and our trust is broken, we can't get either back. Our town runs and deserves honesty, not empty promises. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that has anything for the good of the order?
So two things. The first thing, I just wanted to give an update on the Climate Smart. The Climate Smart Community Task Force, and we are going forward with another action that documents heat pump installation in the town. And I believe that we are actually going to complete that fairly soon, which will qualify the town for hopefully more grant money. And then the second thing, I just wanted to weigh in as well on the project on the old Lucens land, as well as the rezoning down by the farmhouse. You know, and I feel, especially the land by that was Marie Lucens, I can't tell you the name of the address, but that's residential agricultural land, zoned residential agricultural land. And when someone buys it knowing that, with a plan that involves rezoning, I mean, it just shouldn't be. There's so much industrial property in this land, in this town, that if you want to build a project that requires an industrial or PDD, go buy the land in that area. Don't take beautiful agricultural residential land and seek to change the zone and take that out of a livable area for families. So that's just my stand.
Just an update to you, the installation was completed, so that's,
Awesome.
thank you to Climate Smart
Yeah.
for the town hall has been spray foamed. And the solar panels you have got installed are now up to 5.6 megawatts of
That's awesome.
electricity, which is significantly higher than expected. So
Okay.
it's overperforming, which is great.
And just so everybody knows that that's no cost to the taxpayers. That's grant money. So the board approved that, and so they're generating electricity without taxpayers being charged.
Everything in here right now.
Yeah, Patricia Jacob was on the town board for 8 years, and you've always tried to protect our quality of life here in the town of Oneonta. And I'm grateful for your legacy, and I'm doing my best to
It's a
continue.
group effort. So.
Group effort.
Thank
And
you.
also, I want to thank Pat. Pat mentioned heat pumps. If you've installed a heat pump or plan to in 2025, if you've let us know, we're earning points to get additional grant money by that action. So you just really need to tell us that you did. We won't disclose your name or anything like that, but we just need to have your information that you did it, and what contractor, right?
Contractor zip code, that's it. No
Yeah.
names.
So,
No names, no addresses.
okay,
Doesn't date
You
any.
can get that information from the code office too, because this
Okay.
will take the building permit.
Yeah, and we have a thing up on the website, so people can just send us, well, we need a zip code date of installation.
Thanks for your work.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak for the good of the order? In the back, please.
Hello, my name is Eamon Hinchy. I live at 295 Edmonds Hill Road. I wrote a letter that was going to be submitted. I ended up being able to get here. So I'm going to read my letter, but usually I shoot from the cuff. Anyway, to the members of the Oneonta Town Board, Oneonta Town, let it be known that I'm a super strong supporter of a gas station in Edmonds. I believe it is needed and can serve our community well. However, I'm very concerned about the location in the old farmhouse that's under consideration. I think to move forward with this zoning would be requiring the demolishing of a potential house, and it would also create a new traffic light, one that would really disturb, especially my road, but it would really clog up that area. All of this is being proposed without fully exploring the possibility of placing that same gas station across the road in an existing plaza that has 4 parcels already appropriately zoned. I just did a little bit of research. I contacted Jeff Feinberg, who does the leasing for Price Chopper, and he told me that there was an obstacle in the past, and that Price Chopper had a non-compete clause. And so I followed that further to the Golub Corporation in Schenectady, who owns Price Chopper, and they told me that this past practice of barring the competition is a little bit more relaxed under new leadership, and that this roadblock might not exist anymore, and we should consider that. It would be unreasonable and irresponsible to allow rezoning for a gas station without first ruling out the possibility of locating the very same one across the street on land already zoned for commercial use with an existing traffic light and existing parking lots. Finally, I want to remind the board that the original owners of the Emmons Farm did always intend to keep the separation of the northern parcels as well for residential and the southern parcels for commercial use. It was just a special little deed actually to change it for a restaurant. And the idea was that if that restaurant went away, it would go back to residential housing. And rezoning would really disregard that legacy. In closing, again, not opposed to a gas station. I could really utilize a gas station. I welcome it, but I urge the board to not approve this rezoning. Respectfully, Eamon Hucci.
Thank you. Anyone else? In the back.
I have also a statement prepared, but I just wanted to also comment on, looking up Toyota, I don't know a lot of information about it because there's a website that was registered not even a year ago. It doesn't really explain anything other than sustainable solutions for a green future, the contact form, and ads for GoDaddy. So I'm a little skeptical of who this company is, what the intentions are. Because there really isn't any information. If you Google the company, our town comes up in this discussion. So there really is not a lot of information about who they are. So I'm going to go ahead with the assumption that whether it's supposedly for research for agriculture, that this is going to be a large facility with servers and akin to a data center. So going off of that assumption, I'd like to ask you all today to place a temporary moratorium on any approvals for data centers or such structures, and take the time to really consider all the potential harm it can do to our community. Many towns, like ours, have seen devastating environmental and economic impacts on the communities, and I encourage you to do your own research. I'm sure you'll find countless stories of rising electric bills, water shortages, and illness from pollution. I'm sure many of our fellow community members will speak at length about all the ways that a data center will directly impact our daily lives, as they should. But I'd also like to address my concerns with our town supporting a largely unregulated technology that has caused irreparable harm all over the planet. AI has the power to influence elections, convince people to commit suicide, generate images depicting child sexual abuse, and create convincing replicas of your loved ones in order to scam you. The technology is deeply flawed and dangerous. The misuse of AI poses a serious threat to democracy. An estimated 38 countries have experienced election-related deepfake incidents, including the US. AI bots and realistic deepfakes of politicians to spread misinformation and divide and destabilize countries are all over the internet. AI has also harmed children. OpenAI claims that if someone expresses suicidal intent, ChatGPT is trained to direct people to seek professional help. But despite that protocol, the chatbot mentioned suicide to 16-year-old Adam Rain 1,275 times before he took his own life in April of this year. It provided specific methods on how to die by suicide. And when Adam told ChatGPT that his parents would blame him at the end of his life, it responded, "That doesn't mean you owe them survival." This is a chatbot that said this to a child. The Internet Watch Foundation reported over 20,000 AI-generated images of child sexual abuse material posted in a 1-month period on the dark web. That was from a report in 2023, before this technology was even more widely accessible as it is today. And predators use these tools to create incredibly realistic deepfakes, often with the face or likeness of real children. All of these tools used to create these images can be legally downloaded and produced offline without detection. And I share all of this, not as some Luddite who's against technology or change. I have always been an early adopter of technology and the internet. I believe technology is not inherently good or bad, but a tool for use. But I mention these stories because AI is clearly proving to be a tool that is beyond our control. No one seems to be able to stop any of this because it's backed by tech giants like Google, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft. And if no one can stop election tampering, teen suicide, child pornography, and scammers from abusing this technology,
So you're about.
then who is going to stop them from polluting our city and ruining our lives? What makes you believe any of these corporations have our best interests in mind and won't lie to us, hide who they are, and cover up the harm that they do to our community? I don't know how to sit with the idea that our town would be contributing to all of this if we allow data centers to be built here. But it's very easy to be overwhelmed by the enormity of all of these issues and the moral and legal and philosophical implications. It's easy to feel too small to matter. But the very fact that someone wants to open up something like this in our town means we do matter and we do have an impact. And I'm inspired by stories of other small towns like ours blocking data centers. Our government may not be able to regulate
Sir,
this
sir,
technology
way
fast
over.
enough, but we can do
Can you
our part
please
to
finish?
control that. I'm sorry?
Could you please finish your about a minute over?
Oh, sure. I just want to say, please don't allow this or any data centers to come to Oneonta. Let your legacy be that we protect this community. Otherwise, may you never know a day of peace for selling this out. Thank you.
Thank you. This gentleman here was.
Thank you. I'm Jeffrey Feinberg. Mr. Hinch, you referred to me. I represent the JWI of Oneonta, which is where the Price Chopper Plaza is. And we have tried for many years to put a C-store there with gas. And we've had a number of excellent companies that have wanted to go there. And he's not wrong that historically, Price Chopper we have a lease restriction on places that sell food. So, if it's going to be across the street in the residential area, it would behoove Price Chopper to rethink their position. I only found out about this yesterday. Why did it take so long? Because I don't pay the taxes. Price Chopper pays the taxes. So when they look at the tax bill, it goes to Emmons Farms representative. He failed to mail it to me so that I would have some notice on this. He didn't do it intentionally. It was an innocent mistake. I've spoken with him. He was a gentleman, and he said, "I'm really sorry." So otherwise, I would have come to the first meeting. In the instant case, what I would ask the board to do is just to defer the decision. Let me go to Price Chopper. I've spoken with them, and it's true. They have new leadership. They combined with Tops, and now Tops has C-stores on gas at other locations where they're located. Consequently, it's not a far stretch that we can get one here. If the decision I think I would submit would be simple. If we're going to be across the street, and if we're zoned to have it at our property, and the traffic light is there, let us go, let me talk to them. In fact, I was up there today, and I said I was going to come to the meeting this evening, and that I would explain, apologize for being late to the party, but that was because I didn't get notice. So, I want to say to you, with all due respect, I know this may be a controversial, I'm not part of any of the other things. I'm looking here, we want to drive business into the Price Chopper Plaza. And I'd like to say that we've been a good corporate citizen. If you look at our shopping center, if you look at the blacktop, we take care of our properties. We paid our taxes for over 20 years. Consequently, I would respectfully ask, I don't want to hurt the town, I want to help the town. And I have nothing against the other applicant. He's very successful, and I've met him before. He was always gracious to me, very nice. As I say, I just found out about it, so if you could find it within yourself to let us have an opportunity to bring a C-store with gas to the community, and we'll jump right on it. That's all I can say. That's the best thing I can say. So, again, if they're going to be there, it would be best, in my humble opinion, to go where it's already zoned and let the other people live to fight another day or find another tenant. And anyways, that's my thought, and I thank you for allowing me to come. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Feinberg, would it have to be a C-store only, or would a store be acceptable to Price Chopper?
Well, they're mostly interested in, strike that, they were mostly focused on not having a duplicative service that would, if they're serving the product in their current store, it makes sense. Why do we want to have something that they could get it elsewhere on our property? And now, everything changes. Years ago, that communities didn't want digital signs. I'm not saying you want them here, but other places like in Vestal, they never wanted them, and now you see them all over. So business is a living, breathing organism. Times change, different facts, In the instant case, I submit, there's a high likelihood that we can provide whatever gas insert in a C-store convenience, and that's what it, on our site. And so I'm not trying to hurt anybody, I just wanna, if you could throw us a buoy rather than an anchor right now, that would be very helpful. So I hope you could find it within yourselves to at least step back, think, let us bring something to you. And if I can't deliver it to you, I certainly have no desire to hurt anybody. And the idea of having that service gas at that end, makes sense to me. So, at any rate, thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Teresa?
Teresa DeSantis. That's very interesting that you bring that up. I'm so glad you attended because, what is the best long-term solution for the town? And that segues into my rewritten statement. This town is at a critical juncture and this board has a chance to make a difference. Would you please look at revising the comprehensive plan and zoning laws within the coming year? Thank you for your consideration on this important issue. Because, like you say, things change over time. Not just businesses, towns. Thinking evolves over time. So, and a comprehensive plan was last tackled in 2014. Everything's coming to a head. I know you guys feel it. You guys have been on the board a long time. I've been coming to meetings for over about a decade and a half. Now's the time to really find out what the citizens want and to move forward with everybody's input on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Yeah, I have a statement that I haven't prepared, but there's just a couple of points I want to make about this.
Please state your name for the...
My name is Amir, and I've been a resident in Oneonta for about 3 years now. Yeah, so I work in an industry very adjacent to AI and data centers and kind of building this out, and I'm very familiar with what the requirements are for building this, and I want to kind of bring up a few points of what the positives may be for the town and what the negatives may be. So we're currently in a situation where economists have called it an AI bubble, and I kind of think that if we're looking at it, companies like NVIDIA have a higher market share in terms of how big the market of NVIDIA is than every pharmaceutical company combined. That should ring alarm bells. It's that doesn't make sense, right? So we might be in a bubble, and if we are in a bubble, there's a very high chance that any data center like this that is built out now is going to get abandoned. And I think this town has experience with it of trying to get the original workers on the building to go clean up. It's just impossible. It's years of lawsuits. Ends up calling onto the town to end up going and getting rid of the data center that was built there in 2025, 2026. So that's one of the risks. The other thing is that I've seen people bring up water pollution and light pollution, but not a lot of noise pollution. And if you look at what happened in Granbury, Texas, they're currently suing the government there, mainly because the crypto data centers have created a hum of about 60 to 70 decibels just across the town. You just constantly hear it. It's driving people really insane. And that's a thing that these kind of machines produce. They produce a lot of heat, and they produce, for their cooling, they have to make a lot of noise. And in a residential area, that's not going to be great for the residents in that area. So the other thing is, from a positive side, you might say data centers might increase money from a taxation perspective or might create jobs. They really don't create many jobs. That is the one thing that I want to make clear. A lot of data center operations are done with 1 or 2 people, at most 10 to 20 people. This is not a big job creator for how much work you need to how much material you need to put in, how much capital you need to put into these. The other final thing I want to say is that we brought up, for example, electrification of our homes with heat pumps, with electric vehicles. These are all going to put an increasing load on the grid that we have here. If you were on Otsego Co-op electricity provider last winter, you might have seen that the bill suddenly went up because the electricity usage went beyond what they had imagined. The thing is, electricity usage on one side, we are running on wires and cables made for electricity probably 15, 20 years ago. They're not really designed for the load that data centers are going to need to take today. So it's not just the cost of the data center, it's also we're going to be the ones footing the bill to get those grids to be built out way, way, way over provisioned because of these like use cases that may or may not last, 2 years. So the last final point I really want to make here is data centers use electricity very weirdly. This is going to get a little technical, but if you think about an engine, the engine turns on and starts slowly getting, warming up in the winter. We probably all do that. We turn on the car, we wait a little bit for the car to warm up. In data centers, electricity usage is on or off, which means when these machines are doing inference, which basically means providing the ChatGPT interface is, when it's doing that, when it's working on that, it suddenly turns on and causes a big drop in electricity. Like the power we're seeing here was generated literally seconds ago in a power plant while we're using this. So that power plant now needs to suddenly match up and down the generation, which means they're going to have to start using fossil fuels and not clean energy, which is generally cheaper at this point, which is going to, again, drive up our costs. This has actually caused some outages across the country because of data centers that do this. And larger companies like Amazon, AWS, they do a little bit more of a socially responsible thing of putting spinning wheels to effectively not cause that load to show up on the grid. I don't really think organizations that really, you can't even Google anything about them, are going to go do that due diligence. So I would say that I would want the town to block this proposal, and if there is a desire to allow this proposal into the future, to work with folks who are aware of what needs to happen to make this safe and make this doable and reduce the impact on people, which in this case probably means don't build near a residential area, build in existing commercial zones. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we got 2 people. Let's start with you in the front.
My name is Emily Georgia Bell Smith, and I live right by Cooperstown Junction with more members of my family there. And we recently, I guess 2.5 years ago, purchased a home, and this is where we're hopefully going to be living for dozens of years to come. This is where we're looking to build our future. So I find it deeply troubling to hear about the AI data center that was planning on being built, because we are not unique as a small town that could potentially be facing very negative ramifications in the name of progress. But fortunately, because we are not unique, this kind of gives us a clear picture of what to expect from this project. Many of those concerns coming from people today, which includes pollution, 20 to 80% higher electrical bills, massive water consumption. I'm also very concerned that this proposal lacks concrete measures to prevent future expansion. The initial proposal, I believe, was for like a 200,000 square foot building built on 153 acres purchased in West Oneonta. But now the applicant wants to operate on what sounds like a hobbyist scale, something called research and development scale. But I'm concerned that the applicants want to get the rezoning passed, so in the future it would be incredibly easy to push through expansion. Because no one operates data centers for a hobby. They are incredibly expensive to create and have potential to be incredibly profitable. And those profits aren't going to come to our town. It's an extractive model. The current trajectory is increasing demand for data centers. Let's look up anywhere online. In North Carolina, every single small town is looking at the repercussions of facing a data center near them. And in Memphis, people are being poisoned. If you look at More Perfect Union's video, it's called Wasteland, and there are people who are developing respiratory issues because of the data center near them. I also want to talk about employment, which other people have, but there are actually very few people who are employed even in these large-scale data centers. And this brings me to the fact, because there are few jobs, it doesn't also make sense that this would provide an excellent educational opportunities to our students here at SUNY Oneonta and Hartwick. Furthermore, those universities are liberal arts education institutions. And the jobs on an AI data center, I can imagine, are for technicians. So it just doesn't feel like that would be a great fit for these schools. And if there's, 12 to 20 people working there, it just also is, I don't know if that, adds up. As a final note, I know there's been some, positive talking points going spread around by the Chamber of Commerce, and I would just point out that they are basically paid business advocates. They're not partial. They do not speak to the concern of the community. They are essentially a lobbying group. And I think other people spoke to the pollution, the water use, and there's often tax carves out. If they're flooding tax money back into Oneonta, maybe this would be something you could consider, but oftentimes that is not the reality of these data centers. And I, want to have a place that's healthy and that's, growing, and I don't want to have a child with cancer within the next 10 years. So I do find it deeply concerning. I have been doing a lot of research on data centers, and I have not been turning up very good statistics. So I would strongly recommend pausing, stopping, and having more conversations about how to do this, or not doing this, or have more voices in the room about, the right way to do things. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer White. I live at 102 Baker Hill Road. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. I do have concerns about the environmental impact of data centers, but I actually wanted to speak on something different. So I live right over here, and we've had many road safety issues over the last few years, which actually, if you see the unfinished garage, it's because we had to completely redo our house because of these issues. And the town board's been very, very helpful with that. And I do appreciate that. With the expansion of the baseball camps as well, and the possible rezoning of the data center where it could possibly be expanded later on, I'm concerned that we don't have the infrastructure to support that. And I have a young child at home, and I can tell you during the summer, it's pretty, we always have to kind of be on our guard, just in terms of road safety and things like that. So that is something that I would ask. I think that I would just ask the town to consider just pausing and researching before we go on, just so we can make sure we have the infrastructure to support. I also want to say I am a staunch supporter of business in the community. I've been a business owner. My family are business owners, so I also understand the need to, that things change. But I would just ask that the town look to make sure that we can support the infrastructure, if that's allowed to use funds.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna have a couple more comments. I see two people, and then we're gonna move on. We do have several presentations tonight. We do have a privilege of the floor at the end of the meeting as well, but we do have some town business we do have to conduct in the meanwhile. So there were two people, gentlemen here and a lady there.
Also, I can keep mine short.
Me too. I can be short.
You go ahead.
Okay. Keith Schiller, I live on Hell Road, it's just outside the town line, but the representative that spoke earlier, and I'm sorry there were so many abhorrent remarks made, that's not relevant to the issue here. But I've been in agriculture for most of my life, and when you mentioned hydroponics and agricultural research, a couple things came to mind. First of all, Cornell University is one of the most prestigious agricultural research centers, so I would think that some sort of interaction should occur there, and I'd like to know more about that. And secondly, hydroponics is an intensive agriculture, just like a feedlot or intensive dairy operations. To use the word sustainable there is maybe used for selling the idea, but there is no such thing as a sustainable agriculture. Some are more sustainable than others. But initially, starting a large hydroponic operation, you're going to deal with some waste products, water issues, electricity, and so forth. So if that's where we're going with this, that sets up a whole new set of issues that I think should be considered. Other than that, I do think the one last point is that some of the misinformation, I think, came from, to be honest, the lack of information out there. When you do computer searches trying to find out about this company, you are led to subsidiary websites and so forth. So if there's any fault here, perhaps it's lack of visibility. If you want a good open forum discussion with the public, be honest and open about it right up front. So thank you.
You go ahead and Casey, we'll.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll be sure.
Oh, you're going.
Please go. My name is Erica Erickson. I've been in Oneonta and other bedroom communities in the area for the last 2 decades. I won't belabor the points that others have made about the power demand and grid strain that data centers require, the noise, the emissions, heat, microclimate concerns that others have discussed, not to mention the fragmented ecosystems or the certainly impacted wildlife corridors, both by data centers and agriculture. Or that property values will certainly decline if we rezone this residential area, and that there's not strong planning for this. What happens if this company folds or decides to relocate? Then we, as a community, run the risk of stranded assets and a burden on the municipality if the project fails or declines. The developer has tried to rebrand the same project over and over, asking to be rezoned, but it's the same idea, turning rural, residential, agricultural land into an industrial site, maybe at a small scale now, but it does open that door. The label does not change the impact, and approving this rezoning would tell every developer watching that our town's rules are flexible if you push hard enough. That's not how trust or good governance works. The community has said no before. We've heard the same concerns before, and they're still valid now. Approving this rezoning would set a dangerous precedent that our zoning laws can be bent until they break, and that persistence matters more than residents and reason. The land was zoned RA40 for a reason, to protect the people who live here and the land that sustains us. You can't unlevel a hill once it's been scraped flat, and you cannot unpave a field once it's gone to concrete. Once you industrialize an area, that's it, the land does not come back. So I do implore the board to consider what others have said in holding a moratorium on rezoning issues of this nature.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna be inarticulate here. I have one question and a couple of comments. Is the town obligated to entertain a zoning change when it's, it doesn't meet the criteria for the zoning board?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Given that they've come to the town, are you obligated to entertain that request legally?
Well, everybody receives due process.
But it's a zoning issue though, and so it didn't qualify for that. So are you guys obligated to entertain something that falls outside of the zoning board of appeals? I'm just curious because I don't really know how these guys have gotten here.
Well, they put in an application, and so they put in an application, so that being such, we will hear their application. They have an application, a presentation tonight.
Okay.
So we'll hear what they have to say.
I got it.
We just,
I didn't know if you had to. Do you have to?
well, I think everybody would want to be heard if they put in an application.
Yeah.
Regardless of the situation.
I got
whether
it.
be a,
Okay. All right. I guess I'm asking because, this is like the 3rd or 4th meeting I've been to over your project. And, it's the last thing I have time for.
Can you please address the board?
Oh, sure.
Not people.
Well, I did, because
You need to address the board. This is the privilege
Okay.
of the floor is to the board. Thank you.
Okay. So she said, I'm sorry, I forgot her name. What is her name? I'm sorry.
Just address the board, your concerns.
I am. I'm trying to refer to the right person.
And don't forget, you're on the clock as well.
Okay. So, misinformation, data center was on the brochure. So that's misinformation. This is a zoning issue for me. And I've already said this, Pat Jacobs just said it. We want to feel safe in our communities. We want to know when we buy a home, we're not going to have a data center next door. I'm concerned about hearing about this race card. I have sympathy for that.
but not that much. And the reason why is, you know, we've all been subjected to this. Anyone on social media knows. I mean, I was called a racist Karen for not paying a white tax on a group purchase. We've all been subjected to this. I think that this community has been amazingly respectful, and I think our voices have been heard, and it's been unanimous. We do not want this here. And if we're going to be a community and we're going to be good neighbors, we should be listening to each other. And I don't think these guys are listening to their community. And so, you know, the fact that the race is being brought up, I'm really concerned that they're going a legal route with this. And I just want to say this is the last thing I have time and energy for. I'm not happy about having to deal with this right now. And I'm sure everyone else was doing. I just have my own personal stuff going on, and I just don't need this. But I'll tell you what, if this is the route they're going to go, if they're not going to hear their community, then I will start a legal fund for anybody who wants to join in, and we can, you know, we can play that game, unfortunately, if that's what it takes. I hope it doesn't come to this, because our zoning needs to be respected. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the regularly scheduled presentations. At the end of the meeting, if there's anyone else that would like to speak or privilege of the floor, they'll have that opportunity. If anyone so chooses to leave at any time in the meeting, please understand that this is a town board meeting. Please be respectful of the people speaking, and the rest of the people in the room. They would like to hear as well.
But can I say the public hearing for the rezoning at the farmhouse is a little bit further down on the agenda, if you're here for that. Okay, thanks, Brett.
So we have some presentations. We're going to start with Alex Benjamin, Director of the Huntington Memorial Library.
Yeah, do you want me to come up?
I'm sorry?
Would you like me to come up front?
If you'd like to.
Okay.
Please do.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. This is a tremendous amount of support for the library, and I appreciate it. I will keep my remarks brief. I know there's a lot going on here tonight. So my purpose here tonight is to account for the money that the town of Oneonta gives the library. I'm not here to ask for any more money than we already receive annually. And I'm just going to go through some statistics to do that. So I represent Huntington Memorial Library. We have 1,272 town residents who hold library cards with us. That's roughly 25% of the population of the town. We receive $50,000 in funding every year from the town. So on a per capita level, that comes out to $9.87 a person. Relative to the city of Oneonta, at the city, we get $42.31 per capita. And just for a little perspective, there's 42 libraries in the 4-county library system. 2 of them don't receive any tax money. But on a scale of the other 40, that would put the town of Oneonta 39th out of 40 in per capita funding. And I just offer that information for perspective. By the numbers, we had roughly 80,000 visitors come into the library last year. We had roughly 60,000 materials circulate, so that's books, DVDs, sewing machines. We answered 10,395 information requests. Anytime I talk about library stats, I can see everyone's eyes glaze over. But for the record, information requests are a variety of things, but if you need help finding a lawyer, that's an information request. If you want to know whether the suits in a deck of cards correspond to the seasons and the weeks, that's an information request. Over 11,000 people connected to the internet through us. We had over 146 early literacy programs for children, and we had over 1,700 children attend those programs. As far as demonstrating value to the town, I think one of our clearest ways of doing that is as an access point. We provide access to technology, we provide access to information, and we provide access to opportunities. We are one of the few institutions that exist where you can come in and ask any random question, and for no cost, we will genuinely do our best to answer it. We help with a lot of tasks that people need support with, job applications, healthcare enrollment, work with government services. We help people apply for permits, that kind of thing. And so the staff assistance that we provide, I think, is incredibly valuable in addition to checking out materials. We partner with community organizations to provide support. Every year we work with Hartwick College to provide absolutely free tax filing services for low-income and elderly individuals. We do over 300 of those every year. We support unhoused patrons. I know that's not everyone's favorite topic, but we work with them to try and find them housing, healthcare, all of that. And we continue to try to build partnerships. So moving forward in the future, actually, I would like to try and build more partnerships with the town. I know the library can tend to focus on the city because we're in the middle of there, but we want to represent the town equally. So I would like to have more partnerships with the town itself and town organizations. If you're interested, please let me know. Just in closing, your investment in the library has a direct, measurable impact on town residents. We help you learn, connect, access resources. And to go a little further, for people who don't live in the town, I think having a library is an indicator of a healthy town and a healthy city. It shows that the town believes in supporting its residents, supporting their futures, supporting their education. So I want to thank you all for your continued support of the library. We appreciate it, and we're here to support you as well. So I don't know if there's any questions anyone wants to ask me, but I'm open to that.
I had a question. You said 11,000 internet connections. Was that individuals or 11,000 connections?
It's 11,000 connections, yes. And that includes our desktop computers in the building. It's not just Wi-Fi. But there is Wi-Fi outside the building, too. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next we have Liz Kramer and Nicholas Weir. They are applying for a zoning amendment, excuse me. Liz?
Yeah, we're all the way back here. Can I just stay here? Because we're posted up with my brother.
Yep, absolutely.
So we're just asking for the zone to be changed back to an RA 40 from a PDD. It's not currently being used as a PDD. It was zoned that way because the Plains owned the property, and it's not being used as the senior living development that they had intended, and now it's just a single family home, privately owned, so we would like it rezoned back to an RA 40. That's all I have to say.
And just so everyone's clear, this has nothing to do with gas stations or data centers.
Liz, are you still seeking the subdivision as we discussed?
Potentially, yeah.
Because the reason I ask is because that would have a consequence of what the next step would be. Because if you're seeking that, you can do it concurrently, but you would have to get the subdivision from the planning board first. You'd have to go to the planning board, request a subdivision, and there'd be a public hearing, as we discussed. And because we cannot obviously rezone something that doesn't have a parcel to be rezoned to. So that would be a similar situation to what was just happening here with the Emmons Farms. They had to get a subdivision first before we could really look at the zoning map amendment. So, I mean, that's just critical to know, to tell you which direction we want to send you in.
Gotcha. We were gonna pursue the rezoning and then revisit subdivision at a later time, if that's possible.
It's pretty soon for the entire
Potentially. What they're looking to do is they wanted to do an Airbnb and then live out, so they had to be two parts because otherwise it'd be two principal uses. Is there a formal application? There is not. There's a formal application for the
well, you understand though, if there was, if you were to use the two principal uses that we had discussed, there'd have to be a subdivision.
Yes.
All right. Is there anyone at the board that? Any questions?
Just, you're having the house and then you want to live in the barn, right? Is that right? And you want to rent the house?
Live in the house.
Live in the house.
Potentially in the future, live in the house, rent the barn.
Okay, so does it requires a subdivision?
Actually, to live in the house right now wouldn't require anything. You wouldn't require any zone change to live in the house.
We want to rent the house too.
Okay.
Live in the house, rent the house. Live somewhere else in the summer.
Okay.
No, we have to refer to the planning board first.
And see an application too. Like, we'll get an application. We have the application, it wasn't in the packet.
So then, if that's the case, I'll make a motion that we refer this to the planning board. I'll second. Clerk?
Bilkins.
Yes.
Turkey.
Yes.
Emerald.
Yes.
Halloran.
Yes. Okay, so you understand, what we're doing here is we refer to the planning board, so they could, let us know if they have any local action or, any issues with that before we set a public hearing, and based on what they say, we could then, the next meeting, set a public hearing, for the following meeting, for the December meeting. Okay? Thank you. Next presentation, Drusha, Dave with the Oneonta, applying for the zoning map amendment application for 347 County Route 9, RA 40 PDD.
Right, would you be able to put up the the submission, maybe the site map? Maybe.
Sir, with the camera, is it possible if you could maybe find an angle so the rest of the board can see?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
This is really distracting.
Is this the one you want?
Yeah, exactly. And then you can talk it through as we. Okay. So, evening board. My name is TJ Ruane. I'm attorney for Oneonta. This is Prashant Gorantala and Tarusha, who spoke earlier, both associated with the company. So, so as you're aware, this is a revised application. It's not the first time you guys have seen this proposal. The reason for the revised application was originally to address concerns that have been raised by the board and by the general public. So the project scope has changed. The terminology, I think, that's been passed around, was realized by the client to be more incendiary than it was originally intended. So when they talk about data center, there are computer components to what is being proposed, but this is by no means a industrial or commercial data center where a large warehouse has server racks from one end to the other that consumes large amounts of energy or even requires water or produces noise because they're using cooling air to cool the computers. This is an agricultural research project. So the point of it is to answer one question, is how do we lengthen the growing season in New York State? So if you want to go to, Ryan, there's another photo here that kind of explain. So this, one of the things the board asked for is like, how are we going to visualize what you guys are talking about? Because, what we want to do here is answer a lot of these questions so we can address the concerns of, is this going to consume as much energy as the projects that people are researching online? Is this going to cause pollution? Is this going to cause noise? So we're here to provide that information, answer those questions, and by no means should the board make a decision until they have that information. So here's essentially what's being proposed. There is several existing structures on the property. The research center is basically going to use computer servers to produce heat that's going to be used to grow on these hydroponic systems in indoor greenhouses. So the computer systems support the growing by monitoring the growth of the plants. The technology that's been used in growing in agriculture is not new. I mean, combines now have GPS technology. I mean, technology and agriculture have been intertwined for decades. So these computer systems are going to monitor the growth and create conditions that are optimal for growth. The sustainable factor that we were talking about before that was addressed in the opening comments is that this is like an entirely closed loop system. So there's no water being drawn. There's no massive energy use being pulled. The water is a closed loop system, so the computer systems heat the water, that heats the radiant floor, which provides heat for the growing of the plants. So this is pretty much the guts of the operation. So the discussions that we had about, okay, well, what's the business that you're asking to do here? Because to be completely clear, no one needs a town rezoning to put computer servers in their house. I mean, if Prashant wants to put 4 or 5 computer servers in his garage, use that heat to heat his house, he's more than welcome to do so. But what their goal is to enter into contracts with the local universities to provide a space where students can research how can we create or how do we interact indoor growing in New York State with computer technology. So a lot of the negative comments and the fears around this, we want to dispel those fears by providing more information about what this project actually is. So one of the things that came up is, has the project changed because they want to present the smallest possible project, get their foot in the door, and then before we know it, there's a landslide effect. They have momentum, and we can't stop them from putting in a 500,000 square foot data center. That's not true, and that's why we're seeking a PDD. So the PDD gives the town board with discretion and flexibility into putting conditions in the PDD as what's permitted and what's not permitted. So there are no new structures permitted with this project. There's no new processing or manufacturing. A lot of people are referring to this as an industrial data center. There is absolutely no industry happening on this property. I think where that stemmed from was originally when Prashant and Tarusha approached the code enforcement officer about, hey, we have this project. The first idea was, well, the industrial district is there. That'll give you the most wiggle room. You could just extend the industrial district. A lot of town board members in public brought up good concerns. Well, if this farm is now an industrial district, after they leave, anything can be put here. Well, that's why we switched it to asking for a PDD, because it gives the town the ability to control what happens on the property. So if you, Ryan, go back to the site map, please. So this is the property here. This is the existing house, the garage, and one of the barns. There's 2 barns on the property. So the only things that are being proposed to be used for the research center is the garage attached to the house and the barn. So this barn now is used for indoor soccer. Yeah. Essentially. And it's about the size of a soccer field. It's about 10,000 square feet. While most of the barn is going to be basically grow operations for plants and things that will be sold at farmers markets or wherever, the server space that's required is really small. I mean, you're talking like a few racks of computers. I know there's a lot of fear around AI technology but most of the AI technology that was referenced in the public comments you can use from your iPhone. You don't need a data center to do ChatGPT, and that's not the purpose of these computer servers.
What is the purpose?
So, we provided an updated application, but the purpose of what we want to come before the board is there's still seems to be a lot of public concern. We're here to hear any questions that you have on the application, and we will do our best to provide the information that you guys need to make a decision on the project.
Good question.
Yeah.
So you need to drive information to AI to create heat, right?
Correct.
To radiate, right?
Correct.
So is that technology out there anywhere right now?
Is that technology
out there anywhere? Anybody doing it? Is there any experience with that technology?
Oh, about a setup like this?
Yes.
Yes, there are many areas, many countries are doing that.
So how many servers will it take to do 10,000 square feet of radiant in that barn?
So let me put it in a different way, okay? It's not about the servers. We are not talking about how many servers here. suppose, I'm just giving an example of here. Suppose this barn takes 300 BTUs per hour heat required to heat the barn in peak winter, right? Convert that into electricity, how much it is needed to use an electric heater to heat the barn. We are sizing the servers in a way, just use the exact amount of utility we need for heating the barn. So that means if I need only 10 servers, I will be using only 10 servers. If I need 20 servers, and it is sized according to the utility we need. We are not going to use more than that. Because if I use more, it's going to be a problem because it's going to generate more heat and I will have a problem with that. So that's the reason it is just sized as per the need.
Well, I have a problem. I mean, the garage space would be adequate for a test site, right? You only got a few servers.
Exactly. That is why.
So why would you need 10,000 square feet?
Okay. So when we came here for the first time, right? We said phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 is the garage, as we are mentioning right now. That is where we said we want to use this AI servers and we want to test it there, how much heat it is generating, and we want to use that heat to use it in the house in winter, so that we can use that heat in winter for house. That is where you are mentioning why you need 10,000, right? That's the phase 1 we want to use. That's the reason we made a MOU with SUNY to do that research here. And second phase is the barn, the hydroponics, along with AI integration. And if you go into a little bit more details, like agriculture department will be involved in it, and the physics department will be involved in it. And then the AI technology for that, cyber security, there are so many things will be involved in that, right? So everyone will be running that servers and they will be generating heat. And that heat will be utilized to convert it into hot water. That is, we are using a immersion technology. So everyone here talks about data centers, I understand, but that is old technology. In old technology, servers were used to cool with HVACs. That uses a lot of water. That's where everyone's saying, it uses a lot of water and noise, heat, everything. But we are not doing that technology. It's an immersion technology. Servers will be in a dielectric liquid, and because of that, there is no noise, no water usage. And we are able to extract as much as heat, maybe 90 to 95% of the heat from servers, convert it into hot water, use radiant flows to heat the facility. So that is where the sustainability comes into picture here.
So
And
that little test program, set all those servers and all the radiant, to just do a test program, what do you think you're going to have invested in that?
to do just in the garage, maybe 1 million to 2 million.
So, I'm in the building business, right? So heat pumps are really efficient, right? So why wouldn't you use heat pumps to do that? A lot less energy than servers.
Okay, I understand. You are using electricity for heat pumps, right? Same electricity, how much electricity we need to use heat pumps for heating the bath. For example, maybe 50 kW. I'm just throwing a number. To use heat pumps, if it is 50 kW, I'm using AA servers to heat. Because of that, same heat, same electricity I'm using, but I'm getting another benefit by using AA servers, AA technology, where I am going to use that with SUNY for another purposes. So I'm getting two benefits out of one.
I'd really like to see the numbers in black and white myself.
I just want to make sure that we're getting all the questions. So, what numbers exactly?
How much energy it's going to take to do even that garage? What's that garage? Maybe 5,000 square feet?
No, garage is 1,300 square feet.
How much?
1,300.
1,300. So if you start out there with how many servers, I'd like to see some kind of calculation what the energy draw is on that little experiment right there.
I've got a couple questions. I've got two, and I want to get back to the heat. But my first is, this is the third iteration of that we've seen, and I'm learning a lot from you. That's for sure. My question is, my first question has to do with the relationship with the institutions, both Hartwick and SUNY Oneonta. I have, in all of the applications that have come forward, there has been nothing communicated from either institution that supports
what you're trying to do in any of those, and yet it's continually talked about. So if there is something that is formal, I think we need to see and
we can submit
understand
MOU or someone from SUNY representative can talk about it, because in planning board already Hartwick made a representation. They spoke about this project.
that
So,
should be included in your.
unfortunately, most of the MOU minutes of meeting did not reflect our voice. That's the reason we requested to include all the points.
Okay.
So that clarifies your question, right?
Were they discussions or commitments?
Discussions, and we already have
Because
a MOU.
commitments are
No,
significantly different than a discussion.
no, we have a MOU with SUNY already. We do have.
So
Yeah,
that's-
and we can submit documentation memorializing that we have agreements with both Hartwick, so you can.
SUNY's sitting right here.
So I'm going to read a statement that was from the president. So as a town, sorry,
While they're doing a presentation,
I can do it at the end if you'd like.
yes, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But-
I mean, we could call up as part of the presentation. We're happy.
Well,
We're
I
happy to
don't
have.
wanna interrupt your presentation.
Oh no,
That's
You're
fine.
open.
happy to have.
We
Yeah.
will be happy to have.
Well, I still have more questions, so.
We can wait till the end.
Okay, why don't you finish? Since
and then
you
we'll
started,
see
thank
where
you.
we're
And then
at.
it-
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
If you would allow Carolyn to speak,
Yeah, of course.
we would allow as well. Thank you.
So continuing on the questions having to do with the two institutions in town, who would be overseeing this research? Is there a faculty tie to this? Is there a tenure line?
So we are in discussions in detail with each department. That's where so with the Dean, Tracy, we are going to have more in detail discussions, like which department will be doing which particular work. Suppose if it is agriculture, right? We even want to have involved SUNY Kobo skill. So that is more into agriculture, right? So we want to bring in the more who are experts in this area. So that's where discussions are still going on, who exactly person will be leading that particular area.
Okay. All right, so then I'd like to go back, if we could, to understanding the heat and the heat source. How much do you estimate, and I know I understand we're at phase 1, phase 2 and all of that, but in a perfect world, what would be your estimate for your weight of produce that you would produce off of the farm?
So I cannot give you a ballpark number. The reason is it is mix of everything, right? For example, if you are looking at a lettuce, spinach, or green leaf vegetables, their produce weight is different from tomatoes, eggplants, and the produce. So you cannot just give a ballpark how many lbs you are going to produce, because every produce has its own weightage and it has its own price tag to it. So you may come up and ask, what experience you have in this agriculture, right? I myself started doing agriculture since 4 years to learn more about it, and same set exactly I'm already replicating in South Jersey. And we already spoke to board there, and we also have approval. We are in the process of getting documentation done there. It's exactly same, everything same what we are doing. And coming back to your question, how many lbs? This is a research, right? For example, to give you an example, if lettuce is growing at 60 or 65 degrees centigrade, and the research will be at 70 what happens, at 75 degrees what happens, what is the particular variety will grow good with is optimized temperature. If it is tomatoes or eggplants or any other different vegetables, at what temperature optimal for these particular vegetables, so that we can have the sustainable 365 days fresh crop growing here.
Okay, I understand that. I do understand that. I'm trying to put together a better understanding of what the numbers mean. On page 16, it estimated that there would be a use of 3 million kilowatts per year that would be used.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do research, is this a vertical farming?
Yes,
or
it's a vertical farming.
So when I try to figure that out, it looks like there are 2.45 kilowatts per pound of produce. So at 3 million kilowatts per year, you're looking at 600 to 700 tons of produce, and that doesn't add up for me.
So you have to look at like this. The 10,000 square foot is not just going to be used for hydroponics, right? It will be divided into office space. It will be divided into little bit research area for like students when students come, and there will be prep area also. This is not like we are just doing 10,000 square foot just hydroponics. There will be space allocated for everything in this.
When I look at your picture, there's a lot of farming and very little prep and.
These are all just to give an example of idea what we're doing, but that is not exactly what we're doing.
I understand. All right, that helps.
And we can do like an aerial of the barn and kind of show an estimate of where we think things will, like a layout. It's just, if that helps visualize.
Well, I think the question is 3 million kilowatts of
Kilowatt hours
per year
Yeah.
equates to 600 to 700 tons of produce.
Well, I think
I would like to know the calculation what you're doing, because
I can send you the link of the articles that
because
I've been
it doesn't make any. It's not sounding good for me, like what you're saying.
Yeah,
I would like to see the calculation.
I will be happy to do that.
And is the concern that that's a lot of
Yes.
produce?
So, no, the concern for me is that is an enormous amount of produce, so we could feed all of Otsego County and that would be wonderful. My concern is more that I still don't understand the heating. So are you heating and then in the summer it would be cooling?
Yes.
Based off of servers only?
Yeah, so we
No
are going,
furnace?
Yeah.
No heat source?
So there is another technology, absorption chillers, right? So these chillers will be feeding off heat, not electricity. So the heat produced by the AA servers, that will be feeding these absorption chillers to produce the cold water, and that cold water will be again converted into air. So that is the technology we are using. So we are not using the electricity here. We're still using the heat.
What's powering the computer? Electricity. This is wild. This is crazy. Sorry, but come on.
So the electricity we are talking about here is, think about like this. Barn is there. You are going to use fossil fuels to heat the barn, right? Not in normal condition. But I'm removing that fossil fuel and I'm putting an electric heater. And instead of a regular heat pump, I'm replacing it with ASL. But I'm not changing the electricity, how much I'm going to use. I'm using the same sizing for that. If it is, suppose, just giving an example number, 50 kW, I'm just sizing my server to 50 kW. I'm not using more than that.
So I think the point is that the amount, like the question was how many servers or how many server racks or how much electricity, it's size driven off of the research and the growing, not run the servers full speed and then use heat to grow stuff on the side because it's just a wasted energy being produced by the servers. Their purpose is to only serve the research.
So how is it cooled in the summer?
Through through an absorption chiller.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So where's the return on the investment?
So that is what I'm going to explain. So now, the problem statement here, right? 365 days production, right, with hydroponics. There's a cost to it. Operating expenses are very high if you are going to use fossil fuel to heat the facility in winter. So that's where I'm bringing AI servers, which is waste heat is used here and used to heat the facility. So the cost for using the fossil fuel is zero here in this case. And now at the same time, I'm not using any HVAC or anything to cool the servers here. Because of the immersion technology, I'm using that waste here. So my cost for cooling the servers is zero here. So when I'm combining these two, my cost is zero here and zero. When I'm combining that, that is where the return on investment will be quicker. Suppose if it is taking 7 to 8 years of return on investment for hydroponics, because we are combining with no cost, then it will be much better, 2 or 3 years or 3 to 4, depending upon the sizing. So that is where the model we are coming with. AI can help in a sustainable way if we use it properly in a right direction, and it will be helpful for farmers, small scale farmers. For example, if a small farmer has a small barn, we can guide them, hey, this much energy you need to heat this barn, and if you are interested in doing this hydroponic, use this instead of electricity, like, generate your own electricity by putting a solar array, say that 50K, for example, or 100K. If they have space, they want to do it, they will generate their own power. There is no stress on grid. So they will be able to generate that heat, that electricity, and the electricity used for AI servers and then hydroponics. So it's all like, sustainable. Like, you are not wasting energy anywhere, and it is not stressing the grid also. And suppose if you are talking about a big, large data center, right? If it is 100 megawatts or 500 megawatts, 1 gigawatt, there is a stress on the grid. Yes, I agree that. But what we are creating, we are trying to put it in everywhere, distributing that stress, and they are generating that power themselves. That is going to be like sustainable process, and that's where the ROI comes into picture.
And then just one last question, are there generators involved in these servers?
So there are small modulars. We don't have to go and use fossil fuels anymore. There are small modulars available with technology where they will generate electricity as required. So that if it is peak, and they will generate it for you. Like there is no noise. Like they will just put a small module inside, it will generate. So that will be used as a backup, or it can be like main source, and main electricity can be second source. However you want to use it.
Okay, so it's self-enclosed.
Yeah, it's all.
So you're saying battery storage systems?
So that's what, like, see, battery storage is as a secondary, right? Like when power outage is there, then you'll go for batteries, right? But here, if there is a small module, then you don't even need batteries. So because, your module is there and electricity, two sources of electricity already you have. If you want to go for third, then you go for again generation with the fossil fuel or whatever the means.
Do you have calculations of the one thing I think that we're all struggling with is we don't know how many servers you're really talking about. So then we don't know what size battery storage you would require, because there are different requirements once you hit different thresholds in terms of firefighting requirements, because we're a volunteer firefighter department here. And do they have the proper equipment? Walt, you might be able to answer that question.
Nobody does.
For who does? I'm sorry.
Nobody does.
Okay, so to
And
put out such a
and when we are starting the project, right? We are not bypassing anyone. Like we want to do. See, when I'm involving SUNY, Oneonta, they have credibility, right? And I have to follow the standards. And we are going to involve all the departments, and we are going to provide the numbers. And this is what the energy usage we are having. And it is not like I'm hiding anything. SUNY will provide it to everyone, obviously, right? So I don't have nothing to hide here.
Or we just want to know what the scale of the project is. I mean, we can say the garage, but we don't know how many servers are going to go in there. You can say the barn.
So that's fair.
How
So phase one is the garage, right? We said 50 kW. That's what we came up with, 50 kW, and we want to put a solar so that it is not stressing the grid also. That's what the first initial we came with the idea. And then phase two is like we want to do PPAs, and like if anyone already has solar, like we are going to do PPAs with them, or if anyone is interested in doing solar as a investor in this, then we are going to purchase power from them, and we will help them to have solar. So it's like we are not just stressing the grid here. We are actually encouraging everyone, and we are going to share this technology with local farmers. That is a main intention here.
Did you have more questions, Joe? I was gonna.
Go ahead.
Anyone on the board have more questions?
Trish, please.
Okay. I do have. I've read the proposal. I do have clear concerns and questions about the proposal. And all of you are in attendance to tonight that are here on this subject. You can foil the town through the town clerk's office if you want to see the proposal, because I know a lot of people don't know all of the information and you're concerned, and you can obtain that through the clerk's office through a foil. The proposal on page 12 references the town's 2014 comprehensive plan. Agribusiness was not and still is not defined, nor is it a use listed in our zoning code, agribusiness. Therefore, it's not a permitted use. Our zoning code isn't updated to even review a proposal like this. It is an AI research facility with data center component to control the greenhouses. The proposal is manufacturing the use of the term agribusiness, like I said, so it doesn't exist in our code. This PDD would allow a data center down the line this would also be opening the door for that. At last month's board meeting, Mr. Rivera offered a draft of a zoning amendment to regulate data centers for the board's consideration. This proposed project is a 153-acre development proposal with intense agricultural use. It's a substantial development proposal. The questions are, we don't know how that you're gonna pay for it. No mention of a timeline, schedule, is financing in place, future expansion, and this would fundamentally change the neighborhood. I'm trying to get a better sense of your project. How would the existing water well serve as an adequate water supply? I guess your EF says it's not, it would not have an impact. The letter you sent, and I don't know your last name, the attorney?
It's Ruane.
Ruane?
Ruane.
Ruane. Hey, excuse me, okay, thank you.
All right.
The letter you sent to the code office requested information on the use of that property for agribusiness constitutes, and you wanted clarification on a home occupation?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so a home occupation in our town code is for one person, such as a hairdresser. And multiple employees, plural, are not permitted under a home occupation.
That's correct.
Yes.
It says
okay.
that in the letter.
Okay, so I feel that the town board, I would like to see that we can entertain a moratorium on this kind of related infrastructure, AA related infrastructure, until we can update our zoning code and our comprehensive plan. I'd like to, hopefully we can talk about it. Due to the lack of the information, I think we're finding there's just more questions than answers. And no disrespect, it's just, we've heard from your first visit, it was a very intensive AI data center, and now, the modifications, and plus the terminology of agribusiness, the home occupation, there's just things I think we need to update our zoning code, do comprehensive plan. And I feel like this justifies the request that I'm making. So that's what I'd like to bring up. Will the board entertain considering a moratorium on AI data center related activities in the town until we can get caught up?
Just discuss the process that I'd have to go through for a moratorium, because it's not just saying let's do it.
Right, but this is just, we're operating decades ago, and right now, we're in the future, and here we are.
Yeah, so a moratorium is a proposed local law, so we would have to have a draft presented to the board, and then that would be referred to county planning, and we'd have a public hearing on the proposal. So that would be the procedural.
So in order to initiate that process, would the board consider that entertain a moratorium to move forward with doing that and exploring it?
I would consider that. I think it behooves the town to slow down and better understand what is happening. I'm not sure if this proposal in front of us is data center related or not. So is it two separate things? But I am very concerned about data center and what that might mean, and I would be in support of entertaining at least a slowdown. I don't know what this means for this proposal in front of us, because this is agribusiness.
It doesn't exist.
But again, to me, it's a data center and agribusiness should not be connected into one moratorium. That's
correct, but we also need to update the zoning code, because that word's not in there. You can search our E-code, hyphen or no hyphen, it's not in there.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's
no,
so therefore, it's a prohibited use.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So, Prashant, that's exactly why we're here. I mean, there's no sort of, you guys have to decide on this tonight, like you're under an hour to figure this out. I understand that there's a lot of fear behind this. I mean, data centers at the size that people are talking about them in the public comments do have negative impacts. What we're trying to explain is that that's not what's being proposed here, and you have the ability to make sure that that's not what's being proposed here. So one comment was, which is a completely founded concern, is, well, okay, so we enact like a PDD. And then these guys, the research goes great. Now other universities reach out. Now they have this opportunity to build a whole new structure. I mean, the PDD can have conditions in it that can sort of curtail what's being permitted there. So you have that control. Obviously, you can seek advice from your counsel as to the scope of that, but I would ask you to do that before sort of dismissing the concept completely out of fear that this is going to expand into something that you don't want. We're here to answer the questions, and I know we repeatedly are getting comments that, we don't really understand. We have follow-up questions. We're here to hear those questions and provide you guys with that information the best we can. If I know a lot of the discussion is highly technical and it's kind of hard to understand, but we're going to do our best to try to get you guys that information.
And one more technical point I want to present here is, when we are talking about data centers, right? Everyone says data center, data center. Anyone can say what is considered a data center here. How many megawatts we are talking about? Are we talking about 100 megawatts or 500 megawatts? How much capacity data center we are talking about?
So to give you an idea, it's an important point is, so obviously Prashant, in doing his diligence on this project, reached out to NYSEG, was in communication with them, got a written response that says, based on the transmission lines in this area, you couldn't use anything more than a megawatt. If you were proposing something like 3 and 4, there would have to be substantial investment to upgrade that. And I would imagine millions and millions and millions of dollars, maybe a new substation or something like that. What he's proposing is not even half of what they're saying will not affect the grid. So just for scale, I'm trying to just kind of conceptualize that, because I think that's an important point that's kind of getting, because these data centers that are using a gigawatt of electricity is a massive amount of electricity. There's no question about that. And we're not saying that those data centers or the research that anybody did in this town is slanted or misrepresented or anything. We're just saying that this is not what that is. It's not the same thing.
Except that the door is open, and we do not have a definition, and we do not understand what the impact of the word data center means. And I understand that, I could put servers in my house. Nobody here would have any idea that I have.
But the PDD will give you the flexibility you can describe our project in whatever term you want. You can either say the PDD will allow a data center, the PDD will allow an agricultural research. You can list in specifics what it cannot mean. And that's why we're seeking the PDD. I think that had we extended the industrial district, all of the permitted uses under the industrial district would now be permitted on that site, which is why we changed it, because that was the main concern. And I told Prashant, is there anything being proposed outside of what you're doing? No. Okay, then let's just go for PDD. That'll give the town board the flexibility and the tools to put the limits on this to make you guys comfortable that you're doing what's in the best interest of the community.
But again, we've opened Pandora's box, and probably a few months too late.
So
I'm not sure I understand.
We are
the
just
comment.
combining two different animals here. We are not comparing apples to apples here. We are saying data centers one side. We keep calling that data centers, which has a completely different terminology and has a definition, fears that. We are talking about agribusiness, that is completely hydroponics, which is agriculture related. And the AI servers which we are talking about is sized to use as a utility for heating the building. So it comes exactly under agriculture. We are not using anything more than what is needed to heat the building. So that's where exactly the PDD comes into picture, to scale and say, hey, you cannot use anything more than what is required here. So we are not calling it as a data center. We are calling it as a utility which is used for agriculture here.
I think the concern is, if we give you an inch, you might take a foot, and then you fight like hell to get, keep it. So I think that's everybody's concern. And because we don't fully understand the agribusiness that you're proposing, I think we need to kind of take some time and really, I don't know if the word would be soul search, figure out what exactly this is before we can give you any answers.
I understand that.
Even if we wanted to entertain a moratorium, we're not sure what we need to put a moratorium on, to be completely honest with you. If it was a data center, And you can say it's an agribusiness, you say it's a data center, so.
Why not AI research facility or AI?
Well, Trish, I think we need to really just take some time. Take a
How
pause.
would you do that?
and
How would you do that? You wouldn't go with a moratorium?
What are we putting a moratorium on is the question. That's why we need a little time to think about what we're actually talking about here. I think there's more questions than answers right now.
Correct, there are no questions.
Right, I'd like to get more, the questions that we asked, I'd like to have more information. You know, can still have a conversation.
And we welcome those questions. If you guys want to maybe put them together in a letter, like we would do with any other type of development before, like a planning board, we can answer and provide that information. That's what we're here for.
It might even require a special meeting, to be completely honest with you, because, you know, obviously we're trying to squeeze this in the middle of a regularly scheduled town board meeting, and there are other issues of business that are pressing as well. So I think we need time to start coming up with questions, and do some of our own research, speak with other community members and things of that nature. I guess they would call it deep dive, we need to do ourselves.
We have to do our facilities, take a hard look at it.
I feel like that's all we've been looking at is articles we've been receiving and we've been doing that research. 3 gigawatts of hours is, could power 400 homes.
No.
So that's in your EAF, but.
No, 300 kilowatt hours.
That
It's
is
not
hours,
gigawatt.
That is not 400.
Gigawatt, 3 gigawatt hours, 3GH.
Not a gigawatt hour. Like I have only 1 megawatt power. How it that?
Okay, I'll review the EF, I apologize if that's my mistake on the
I
number.
think it might have said, and it could be sloppy handwriting, it might have said 300 kilowatt hours, maybe? Is that possible?
Yeah.
I can
Okay,
give you the
it's not,
calculation, everything.
yeah,
It's not a
NICEAG already said anything, you wouldn't be able to do anything above a megawatt, and we're well below that.
On page 16, it says 3 million kilowatts per year.
Kilowatt hours.
3 million kilowatts hours per year.
Hours. So,
Yeah.
so that is how you measure the electricity, right? How much? So that's where you build. It's not like kilowatts you are using. It's not 3 megawatt kilowatts you are using. It's the hours actually. How much electricity you are using. That's a unit. So if you want, I can give you more information.
We can address that in writing because it is, I see what your concern is because 3 million converts to 3. It is not 3 megawatts. I assure you, that's time over the entire year, not usage in one day, instantaneous usage.
I just don't see the return on investment. I mean, if that's the case.
I mean, farms fail all the time. I mean,
I
we
know,
don't.
but New York State is pushing everybody to electric heat, right?
Yes.
Correct.
By next year, if you build a new house, you can't even have a gas stove.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
So listen, so if that's so efficient, right, everybody put a server in their house and take care of their heat that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're not gonna do it. At 1.2 million,
No.
tell me where your investment return.
So, okay, I will give you in a different perspective. Okay, so in our traditional farming, right, we used to have a lot of water in the ground. We used to use that, but we came to drip irrigation. So we started using drip irrigation. We removed waste. What is happening with the water? New technology came up, and at that initially no one believed it and how cost effective it will be, how many advantages along with that. But slowly, like everyone understood, and they started utilizing that drip irrigation. So same way, this is like because not many understands the advantages, and this is the evolving technology. That's the reason we are not saying we are going to implement it. This is exact how we are saying it is a research and development, so that we can make it available for everyone. This technology. That is the main intent here.
And so I see your concern with the cost of the build out just to heat a home. It seems ridiculous, but the purpose is research. So research is almost always just sank cost. So people are going to invest grant money, the universities are going to invest in this so that we can provide them the space to do the research. So
you're gonna charge.
When you say charge, like what?
Charge them, are you gonna?
So we are going to have internships and fee.
Are you gonna charge the universities?
So we haven't spoken in full details, like what exactly the money wise. We came up with the concept and this is what we are going to do. So it all evolving discussions, yeah.
Kim and I are willing, Hyde, to do a moratorium if we don't have a third board member. I mean, is there a way to term this language of a moratorium that we could all agree on? Is there a terminology, data center, AI?
Well, I want to be careful about, I want to be very careful. I am against data centers. I am against a data center. I am not exactly sure what the heck this is.
So
Trish,
Yeah, big deal.
we take the time to do this right. We can't just rush into, I mean, I know the audience would love to hear the word moratorium, and we get a round of applause, but just because we're not doing it today doesn't mean we can't do it in the future. What we need to be is thoughtful about it in every aspect. We need to know what we're talking about when we say that. We need to know what we're talking about right now, whether it be agribusiness, data center, research and development, agribusiness. You know, all these things are right now we just don't know. So if we're just doing something to make haste and get a good round of applause quickly, that's not what we're here for. We're here to be thoughtful and pensive about what we're doing and understand what they want to do.
And ask questions. Again, you know, we beg the board, if you have concerns, just ask the questions.
Well, and final closing on my part, it is a rezone and a data center could come there in the future or any other kind of use that's more unsuited to the RA40 district that it's in.
And you can prevent that in establishing the PDD, which is why we're not extending the industrial district. So it's not out of your control. You can set it so that no matter what happens, we could have to come back to you for permission to expand. I mean, that's the purpose of asking for the PDD. And that's, you know, we're being very open about that. I know there's a lot of concern with that, and
we are
rightfully
open for
so.
questions.
Yeah.
So, Carolyn, you had something before that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I can read a statement related to the MOU. You know, as the town board works with the owners of Toyota to determine the compatibility between its business vision and community needs, the university has been asked about its MOU related to this project. I'm here to read the following statement to offer clarity on the agreement between SUNY Oneonta and Toyota. As many in this room have experienced, SUNY Oneonta is committed to building a community beyond our campus. One of the hallmarks of President Carday's administration is the development of the Regional Innovation Council to provide a space for higher education, healthcare, business, human service, and public officials to connect and support community and economic development opportunities. In the spirit of supporting economic investment and workforce development in the Oneonta area, we have welcomed the opportunity to engage Toyota in ways to collaborate should this project proceed. While in the early stages, the MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, maps out how the addition of new technology companies in our community could provide our students with research, internship, and workforce opportunities. To be clear, while the university is eager to support the next generation of innovation and entrepreneurs in our community, we are not involved in the site selection, capital construction, property development, or zoning-related aspects. This type of collaboration reflects the university's dedication to strengthening academic programs, opening new career pathways for students, and promoting innovation to benefit both the campus and the broader community. And Ryan, I can provide that to you in writing. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to make a motion that we adjourn this presentation or table this presentation so the board can do some fact finding and gather information, and provide you questions as well.
Absolutely.
And if necessary, we will schedule an additional special meeting, which will be publicized both in the Daily Star and on the town website, as well as the town Facebook page for those of you that, so everybody here can attend or has the opportunity to attend. We'll have another meeting, a special meeting to discuss this.
I'll second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Wilkins.
Yeah, I would prefer a moratorium, but I'll vote yes.
Richie.
Yes.
Cameron. Yes. Holden.
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you.
And just one last thing, I meant to mention in the presentation, but the applicant, invites the entire board out to the property to get some sort of site-specific. I toured it today, and it definitely puts like a lot of things in perspective. I think it would be helpful just to see sort of scale-wise about, the layout of the barn and the offices and how the servers and all that. It's really enlightening, so I can communicate through council. We can just offer it up if you guys want to take it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Fred, your motion was only to adjourn the discussion for now, correct? That was the only part. Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We have a public hearing, an open public hearing for a zoning map amendment for Marty Patton and Chris Mabey, otherwise known as Emmons Farms Farmhouse Parcel, to convert to a B2. Public notice was originally published in the Daily Star on August 28, 2025. We'll wait if you want people to take a pause and switch back. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry?
Is it possible to get the agenda back up? Or is there a way I can find it?
Thanks for reminding us.
I just want
So this is a public hearing. Like I said, it is continuance from last month. Last month we heard concerns from residents. If there's anyone here that wants to speak for or against it, this would be the place and time to do that.
I have a question.
Actually, Chris had his hand up first. He's the engineer. If you'd like to.
This is a quick one, I promise. Excuse me. Nope, you're good. I didn't say anything at the last meeting because I believe everybody needs to be spoken, speak. Everybody's voice needs to be heard in that steer. This green area, this outline is the subdivided property. That was approved, the subdivision was approved by the planning board. The subdivision does not extend to Emmons Hill. There's a strip of property in between this white space and this hatch space here. The white space is owned by the hoteling family. The hatch space is owned by DOT. There is no access to Emmons Hill Road from this property. Along the frontage of this property, it is controlled by DOT. They will only allow, DOT being New York State Department of Transportation, they will only allow access to this parcel at the existing intersection. This conversation that we're having now is for a zoning change. There is nothing on the table for any type of business. It's all speculation of what could go there. Convenience store was mentioned multiple times. I've heard bike shop, right? I don't know. It's purely speculation. There is no contract. We are not involved in any of those discussions. I'm only here to speak to and present the zoning change. Thank you.
And who are you representing? Who are you representing?
The owner of the property, Marty Beck.
Please address the question to the board.
Okay, well, I have a question for the engineers.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, you can do that, yeah.
Well, what is the preferred distance between an intersection and a stoplight when there's traffic? Distance from a existing road and then a traffic light, do you know that?
An existing road and a traffic light?
Yeah.
The existing road is going to be already dictated by that traffic signal. So if you're going to put in a new road, that will be dictated by the speed of the road and the volume of the road.
Okay.
It could be as short as 125 feet, it could be 750 feet, but it's dependent on the speed of that road.
Are traffic studies ever appropriate before creating new intersections?
Yes, it's a,
Okay.
it's a requirement.
Okay.
And that's something,
They haven't had a traffic study.
a traffic study has been done. That is what actually helped the DOT define that is the only location that would be acceptable to them for access to the parcel.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Christensen. I live at 129 Hillside Drive. I had more time this time, so I wrote some things down. I also have 2 letters from folks who couldn't be here today, so I'll submit those to the clerk. This also to the clerk. There they are. One is from Faith Tiemann, who lives kind of near Angel Heights, and Kate Hoffman, who also made a statement both opposed to the rezoning. So over the past 3 months, this issue has been brought to the town board and discussed at the August and September meetings. It's now October. There's no justifiable reason to rezone this property, whether for a gas station or any other business. Doing so opens the doors to unfavorable traffic congestion, likely negative environmental impact, and the possibility of repeated changing of hands from business to business. So even if it was a business that I really, really wanted, we don't know what it could be. We need daycare centers. What if it was daycare center? But we have seen it was just over the line in Davenport. There was daycare center. Then Woodmill bought it up. So anybody can buy anything if they want to. So the variance, the variance on that property to make it a restaurant is over. The restaurant is closed. It's now back to residential. It has plenty of potential as a residentially zoned property and should remain as such. We need more housing. We don't need less, and there's lots of abandoned industrial space that could be used. So there is no necessity that has been demonstrated to justify rezoning in this instance. As I mentioned before, I'm an evaluator. I said that last month. Well, you weren't here to nail that. I'm data-driven and looking over the town's 2014 comprehensive plan because I'm nerdy like that. Residents support commercial growth in appropriately zoned areas and, quote, want to protect their quality of life. My review of the past 3 months of meeting minutes, because I'm also that nerdy, I did the math, shows that roughly 95% of all public comments oppose the rezoning. So that alone should speak volumes. Tonight, I also want to focus on the process, though, and what I've observed. I'm deeply concerned about the lack of transparency surrounding this project. Monday, I attended the planning board meeting where the farmhouse subdivision was approved, disappointingly so. They acknowledged the lack of transparency, but noted that procedurally given only a subdivision request, they had no grounds to deny the request. And I have the notice that I got in the mail because I live right there. And it said there is no development associated with this request. Okay? In reviewing the July through September minutes for this town board meeting, I found clear inconsistencies. In July, the recorded notes stated Stewart's convenience store in the presentation. In September, midway through the meeting, we were told that this was merely a rumor and that since those words weren't in the application, we could disregard it. Fine. As recently as Monday and even today, the Delta engineer denied any knowledge of what was planned. So now we're being asked, hey, we just want to rezone it for anything. Why not? Could be anything. Last month, even the board members here appeared to make statements in favor of the rezoning, suggesting how the gas station might blend in or defending why other parcels weren't suitable. Should the only people making a persuasive argument for a project be in the audience? So to quote the Big Lebowski, this is our concern, dude. Why are we here tonight? Why did all of these people stay tonight? Why even go through this charade if some members may have already made up their minds to ignore the overwhelming voice of residents in favor of possibly prearranged outcomes? It makes the whole thing a farce. People are losing faith in government for many reasons, even at the local level. When money and property interests exploit bureaucratic loopholes, like not having to put things in writing, like you just have to ask for the bare minimum, it's okay, don't say what it is, then we don't have to talk about what it is, right? To override community needs and community voice, that's a problem. When officials allow it, that's not just a policy failure, that's a breach of trust. I urge you all as elected representatives to serve, who are here to serve the people who live and work in the town of Oneonta. They are asking and begging to be heard. Please be on the right side of this decision. I'm asking you all tonight. Again, I have letters here. Other people will probably talk about all of the possible negative impacts, but the fact of the matter is most of the people in this room have said we don't want it. And I don't know if anyone else here gets to live next to it, but I do. So, my letters.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here from Emmons Farms Estates proper housing? The housing development that be directly affected by that?
They've gone silent. I don't know.
They signed the petition, though. They're on the petition. Some of them just can't come to the meetings, and they're stressed and how wasn't allowing them to advocate as some of the others are here.
Thanks for saying that. I forgot their names. I saw them on the petition. Thank you.
I've heard from probably just about everyone who lives there.
Yeah, actually, I have two received emails saying the same.
I have a couple questions.
You're welcome to them.
Okay. First of all, at the beginning of the meeting.
Can you say your name for the record?
I'm sorry, my name is Mark Ruba. I live on Hillside Drive at Oneonta.
Thank
you. At the beginning of the meeting, it was brought up by several people in the audience here that they were okay to put a gas station across the street. And I'm a little puzzled by that because we were told at the last meeting that there were no plans to put anything anywhere because it had to go to the planning board for approval. And then after they get approval, then they'll find out what they'll allow to be put there. Is that correct?
If this zoning map amendment was to change or was to be approved, then the next step would be they would have to go to the planning board.
Is that what happened?
No, they went to the planning board for a subdivision, thank you. Because you can't, what we're looking at right here is to change, do a zoning map amendment. You can't change a zone that doesn't exist. Originally it's part of a larger parcel, so we couldn't even act on this until it was subdivided, because then that would be the parcel we're talking about. So we, if you could understand what I'm saying.
All right, but does the planning board have this proposal? Has it been forwarded to them?
The zoning map amendment?
So it has been done?
Yeah.
Right, and between last meeting and this meeting, with all the negativity that was at the last meeting, this board felt it was prudent to pass this on to the planning board?
It's part of the process. Any applicant has to be able to go through the process. The results can vary, of course, but everybody has the right to submit an application to do effectively anything they want, and part of the process sometimes is going through the different boards to see if it fits within their confines of what's acceptable or not.
And there hasn't been any, I'm going to use leaked information on the prospective property, because in the last couple of days, I've seen components of the building removed.
Well, that's because they have a demolition permit.
I'm sorry?
I said that's because they have a demolition permit.
So the owner is demolishing the property, is that what you're saying?
Presumably, yes.
Okay.
That's the right of any home. You can do that to your home. If you so choose. I wouldn't recommend it, of course, but yes.
Okay.
And it is confusing to me as a board member too, because it does seem like the process is segmented. So, I mean, it would be nice to have the whole picture to look at something. So it's difficult for me as well, just so you know, you're not alone.
Well, like I said, the last meeting, it's putting the horse before the cart. Right, we have to decide that we're gonna zone the property to get approval for the planning board to approve what they're gonna put in there. So if they decide they were gonna put a nuclear power plant there, okay, we're kinda stuck with it because the planning board said okay.
No.
And I'm not saying that that's what they're gonna put there, I'm just using that as an extreme example. It doesn't make sense to me as a you know, a resident, right? If people are concerned what they're gonna put there, and you're looking for the approval from the residents to build something on that property, then I think it should be put in the public's eye before we have to get approval to get it done. Right? Because there were a lot of things that they could put in that spot, all right, just to facilitate a sale from the owner to somebody that the public may not be happy with. So moving it to the planning board so they can approve the
Anyone has the right to subdivide their property as long as they meet the town requirements, whether they be setbacks, road frontage. You can subdivide your property if you have those items. It's not a.
Yeah, but the owners don't have the right to change the zoning.
They have the
Right,
right to
that
request
zoning reverted back to its original zoning certification, if you want to call it, after that property was sold. So in order for them to change that, they have to get approval from the town. It's not something that they're gonna go and say, well, you know what, I want to put a 7-Eleven here, so I'm gonna change this to a business.
That's why we have the process, and we're going through the process right now. And that's where we are right now, part of the process.
All right.
Brett, I just have a question. So as part of the process, do we know if an environmental assessment form has been made public for the community members to speak at as part of the public hearing?
The EAF?
Yes.
This wouldn't be the time to EAF, because they don't have a proposed project per se.
And I believe, according to the SECWR compliance, I believe that might be different. I'll let you two all talk about that. I just do get for another time, but obviously we don't know about that yet, so I'll just move on. But anyway, all zoning must be in accordance with the comprehensive plan. Clearly, this is not in the comprehensive plan. When something is not in the comprehensive plan, it is referred to as spot zoning, which can potentially be illegal here in New York. And I just ask that we consider that and ask that we potentially look at how our taxpayer money may be used in any potential litigation. I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, this is just something that I was given.
As long as we're talking about the 2014 comprehensive plan, whom I was one of the authors of in 2014, I do know a little bit about it. It said 7 in 10 residents said that commercial development in the town should be expanded. This is that. It also said town residents understand the need for development, many calling for increasing retail, light industrial business around the town. They would like the development to occur in many of the abandoned buildings and lots around the town. Right there are two things right there. I'm not saying whether we're saying yes or no, but if we're addressing the comprehensive plan, we have to understand what we're talking about. It also recommended establishing PDD zones. Possible areas were Route 7 and east end from Brooks heading towards the town line. This is specifically that. So when you read the comprehensive plan and want to share it with the audience, you have to understand that you have to read all the parts, not just the parts that support what you're asking.
Yeah, absolutely. But so is the environmental assessment form still available for the public? Because if it's not, I don't know if the public hearing.
So that was included in the July meeting, I believe. We had someone from Delta come in July, and he talked about the Stewart's gas station, and I think there was an EAF, a form attached to that application. Am I right?
I think we have to
July.
check.
I thought I saw the EAF because I was looking in particular at that because I've had environmental concerns next to the creek.
Any application usually comes with it.
Right, so it's attached, so it was
They're
with it.
responsible for filling it out, it doesn't matter what it is, special use permit. So, it's there. And, yeah, and
The clerk's gonna check for you.
And also a little bit different from the comp plan is it's a rezone, but go ahead, comments, that's the public's time.
Thank you. I've got a question. Do you want to have 2 traffic lights within that distance? You've got one right there across the street from the property. Right now. You're going to put in a new one. Maybe that's beneficial, maybe it's not beneficial. I don't know whether you want it.
That light exists currently.
Pardon me?
The light currently exists.
Yeah, the one right across the street from us.
But as well as in front of the farmhouse.
Yeah, isn't that across the street from our entrance?
No.
The whole property there?
No.
I apologize. Okay, I'm wrong on that. Is the elephant in the room no business? Or is I have a hard time believing somebody didn't make up I have a hard time believing that it's not Stewart or AC Stewart. This gentleman can say, no, nothing's been made an application. That's probably a true statement. But the best indication of the future is
Mr.
what's happening.
Feinberg,
Yes.
I need to defend myself here.
Go ahead.
I take exception to you questioning what I'm saying, all right? I am 100%, God strike me dead. I go to sleep at night knowing that what I speak is what is the truth coming from me.
I'm not calling you a liar at all.
You are implying.
I'm not implying. I just got this at the last meeting. Okay, so, listen, the righteous indignation from this man, I'm just trying to give you some information. If you want 2 traffic lights, I guess that's what ultimately it might be, might not be. I don't know, it's already there. Can you get a commitment that they're not gonna be putting a gas station?
You gotta remember, what we're here is to hear an application for a zone change.
Sure.
Regardless of what's gonna go there, and I completely understand that you would prefer to have it on your piece of property. It would obviously financially benefit you as well as the Price Dropper Plaza. However, you don't have an application here in front of us.
No, I do not.
Mr. Maybe does, and so that's what we have to address, not the potential for one on your property. As we discussed yesterday, you're welcome to put an application as well. Every time I've seen one gas station, I've seen 2. If you drive around Oneonta, you see down the street Speedway and Valero, you see Stewart's and
Sure.
Moravito. On South Side.
Yes.
So, that all being said, I mean, we are here to hear his application.
Of course.
And so we couldn't potentially, while I understand your desire, we couldn't stop his application for
I wouldn't want you to
for
stop
research.
the application. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking about the C-store.
Well, we don't have anything on paper saying that. We've heard, just as everyone else has, but until we actually see something in our office submitted, we can't, in good conscience, say that's what it's going to be.
I guess if I can piggyback on that, that has to go through a site plan approval through the planning board, at which point that whole discussion of what is going there, is it acceptable? And if it's a convenience store, is it the right convenience store? Is it sized right? There's a whole bunch of regulations. This parcel isn't at that point. That conversation can't occur yet because it's not zoned for any business, period. The discussion tonight's gotta focus on the change of the zone. Everything beyond that is truly speculation. And I apologize for the outburst.
I
And
understand.
I'm thankful you attended, Mr. Feinberg, because Kim and I were wondering about that location. Initially, we thought, wow, no creek, no neighborhood impact, it's already zoned. So, but I know we have to look at what we are put before us, but I'm glad you came because I think it's been very helpful to know that.
Yeah, so just regarding the zoning, not any C-store. I just want to know what the board thinks could possibly benefit the people in Oneonta in that area by adding a commercially zoned lot, where there are existing commercial lots going up Route 7 that are empty, that have stayed empty for a long time. I mean, Brooks moved into that warehouse, but that was empty for 10 years. I just don't know, what do you see a possible benefit of turning that zoning away from residential, which is a high need, to a commercially zoned district, which is not in need at all?
Well, I could tell you that the reason they chose that location, if they chose that location, right, was because it's right off the highway. It's got great visibility. It would benefit Angel Heights. It would benefit anyone in that area because of its location. The other locations, there's got to be someone in the room that's real estate. The rule of real estate, it is location, location, location. That's the location, and that's why they're trying to develop it. In terms of housing, we do have some housing developments where people are trying to add housing currently as we speak. That was part of what our Empire State Development Grant, where we got $1 million to extend water out Hemlock to promote housing. So we are working on that, and with housing, every time you create housing, you need to create services as well. You said yourself that a gas station probably would be good. Now I can't say that it's got to be a gas station because, like I said, it's speculative. So that's where we're at in terms of that. So in terms of public benefit, yes, the public does need public services, and that's potentially a location for that because of its location.
And that makes total sense. However, 2 of the parcels in the lot where Price Chopper is are actually closer to the exit. 16, you could get off and actually not even get to that light. You could actually turn into either of those locations, and if they did have a C-store, it would be even closer. It wouldn't even involve a...
Unfortunately, it couldn't because that's DOT right away.
But you can get right-of-ways from...
You can get break and access, that's correct.
Right,
but,
especially if it's beneficial.
But again, as I explained to him, the situation here is we can't speculate on other people's property when somebody is here to have an application for theirs. We can only address when there's an application in front of us. We can't address things that are not in front of us. While you might be right that it is maybe a better location, it's speculative and it's.
Sure, you say location, I get that, but adjacent are 4 lots that are the exact same location. And so, can anybody else deny that that's also as good a location on the board?
I don't think we can deny it.
Well, might I, we're still in an open forum. I mean, I'd like to get to a point where we can close the forum, and if we're able to, I would like to take a vote tonight.
I would too.
Before that, I just wanted to say that just please remember the countless amount of signatures that we submitted to the board, those that have been advocating in the beginning but haven't been able to at the ending forum because it's taking a toll on their own health, because they're stressed about their safe and affordable housing option that they've lived for decades is going to be gone. So I ask the board, take that into consideration. Think of the harm that can be done to our kids that have lived there for decades. They are teachers, they are nurses. And I also ask that we think of everyone who has come here in opposition. And if there was more individuals here in favor of it, I would love that. That's the great thing about having a community discussion. But there hasn't been. And so please take that into consideration.
Keep in mind, usually whenever, being hadn't been on the board long enough, people don't come when they're for something. People only come when they're against something. You don't get a room full of people saying, yeah, I want to see this. You only get a room full of people saying they don't want to see this. And I do have to have a follow-up question for you, saying that they're concerned about their homes. How do you speculate that their homes will disappear because of this zone change.
I think where you should ask them yourself, they're your constituents, not me.
Well, you're the one that said it, so I'm asking you the question.
They're your constituents, they want to hear from me, not me.
Well, you're the one
All right,
that's driving
I'd
it.
like to, are there any other
I would like to
comments,
speak.
public comments, and then I'd like to close this.
Ramona Lipker. I just want to respond to some things that were said here about the development or the possible change in zoning for Emmons, that part of the property. You know, you said how the town wants expansion, you know, and they referenced a certain area, and I understand that. But I also understand that sometimes us as lay people, we don't really think about all the specifics. So to indicate that that means any piece of property along that line they're in favor of for certain things would be an inaccurate assumption, I believe. You know, and honestly, it seems like there is a plan. I know that's my personal belief, but I feel like there's a plan, and I feel like it's moving along step by step to kind of get to get the way that is wanted there. And I don't believe, you know, you said that Emmons is the property impacted. It's not just Emmons that's the property impacted. I don't live on that end of town, so it's not me either. But people that live in the neighboring neighborhoods around there, like right across Emmons Hill Road in the, is that Hillside and stuff like that? They're impacted also. So I guess offense for them to indicate that they're not also impacted by this, because that's not accurate. You know, again, I guess for me, the whole feeling on this, I feel like it's a game being played to go step by step in this process to get what is wanted there. And I also don't understand why we don't use available property first unless it's proven that that's not a possibility, and it should have to be proven first. We have a great logo up there, you know, farmland, taking it, like, don't use land that doesn't need to be used. And I'm for expansion, you know, moving forward. I think that is an important thing for anywhere that we are, but there is property that can be used unless it's proven that it can't be. And I do think that this is a game being played with this piece of property, and maybe I'm wrong, but again, I take offense to say that it's only Emmons that is impacted by that, and also to assume that somebody, you know, we're lay people, we don't think of everything, that they meant any piece of property along there, I think is pretty inaccurate.
Please.
Prepared statement, he says, this board has an opportunity to put an end to spot zoning. The citizens have had enough.
Anyone else? Ma'am, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Clapperton. I live at 1 Park Avenue in Oneonta. And I didn't come to this meeting with any preconceived notion. What I did hear a lot of was people wanted to say something, but there wasn't a lot of listening. What I was really encouraged when I heard Kim say, I need to learn more about this, because I want to learn more about this project. It fascinates me. I mean, there was so much misinformation put out in a local newspaper, on social media, and I think what needs to happen, and I am so sorry that you ever had to experience what you did, because that's not who I am. And I didn't believe that that's what this town is, and I'm so sorry. But I want to learn more. And instead of putting, you know, knocking everything down and saying, okay, we're not going to do this. You know, I've been in the business of helping businesses grow for over a quarter of a century. I need to learn about it, but before I do anything for anybody, I need to know, I want to sit and I want to learn exactly what their goals are and what they want to do, and how that will impact. And if I need to research more, I'm going to research more. If I want to talk to them directly, I like to talk to them directly. Because hearsay and social media posts don't tell you what's really going on. It just incites a lot of fear. And a lot of, and all I can think about today, when I'm sitting here, is contempt prior to investigation. I want to investigate, I want to learn more. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Well said, thank you.
I just want to say, I think the bottom line is not what's going where. The bottom line is
people want to see residential areas remain residential. And if you come into the town with a business in mind, welcome. But go where the businesses go. Don't take the land that's residential and agricultural and force that change on the community. And I think people show up because they feel like they can make a difference by speaking out. So I would say it's the zoning piece. People don't want that change. They don't want their neighborhoods to become commercial. They just don't. To me, it's not what goes where, it's how you're doing it. Don't buy land that's zoned that way if you have another whole plan in mind when you do it, because it's not a thing.
There's no other further comments. We'll close the public hearing. Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Ricky.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes. Discussion.
Are we able to vote on this tonight?
Yes.
We can, I don't.
Make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to vote on the rezoning, amendment application for Emmons Farms farmhouse parcel conversion from a B, convert to a B2.
So your motion is that we vote tonight. We vote tonight. I make a motion that we vote tonight. Do we need the motion to vote? Yes,
She
yes,
just
we
made a
need the, okay. I second the motion, we vote.
Wilkins.
Yes,
Ricky.
the motions we vote.
No.
Wait,
No.
clarify it then. Clarify what we're doing. We're gonna vote on the, okay, now we're voting. I vote no to rezone.
We're close.
Okay.
Vote should clarify, it's a vote to approve or a vote to deny.
She made the motion, so would you please clarify?
Clarify the motion.
I vote to deny the zoning amendment application for Emmons Farms farmhouse.
I second the motion to deny the rezone.
Clerk call the roll.
Well, wait a minute, so then if I'm voting to deny by voting yes, that means I am against the zone change, correct?
I am against the zone change, I second. Is that good?
No.
No.
Ryan will call the roll.
Are we ready?
Bear with us. What, I vote no on the zone change.
So you vote yes.
Yes to deny the zone change.
I would like to read my statement. The proposed rezoning at the corner of Emmons and County Road 7 has definitely weighed on my mind. While I see potential benefits, such as a gas station on the east side of town and a new building site, there are several unresolved issues that lead me to vote against the zone change at this time. I outline 5 key areas of concern. 1 is the alignment with the comprehensive plan. The town's 2014 comprehensive plan, though outdated, prioritizes the development of townhouses and condominiums along this corridor. Please see page 11. Given the rise in short-term rentals and the shortage of affordable long-term housing, this site presents an opportunity to address a pressing community need. While I understand infrastructure concerns and limitations, housing still warrants a serious conversation. More broadly, County Road 7 is showing signs of distress. Vacant and overgrown properties like the old Sunoco station, Pizza Hut, the former 20th century pool and spa, and now the vacancy where Walgreens once occupied. These issues call for a comprehensive, community-driven plan, not isolated development. 2, concerns with B2 zoning request. The B2 business district is intended for heavier commercial uses separate from those uses which are primarily oriented toward the highway traveler. See Chapter 130-30 of our code. While some B2 uses, such as restaurants or a gas station, might fit, others do not. Permitted uses like auto showrooms, truck or farm equipment dealers, mobile home sales, snowmobile sales, car washes, among others, see the town code for a list, are not appropriate for this location and raise concerns about future development. 3, environmental impact. Even with modern protections, the environmental risk of a gas station, and on the July 9th meeting, we had a presentation from Anakin Major, who was the assistant engineer at Delta Engineering, presented to the board a design for a service station. He didn't say Stewart, but presented to the board a design for a service station plan. The nearby stream flows directly into the Susquehanna River, and runoff from vehicles and pumps poses a real threat to water quality. 4, traffic and safety. If the Department of Transportation creates a direct in and out access via the existing stoplight, I worry about increased congestion, altered traffic patterns, and safety risks of drivers and pedestrians. 5, community input. Residents, especially those near Emmons Farms, have expressed concerns about the zone change and its impact. Too often, I've seen projects move forward with little to no community consultation. The people deserve a voice in decisions that affect their neighborhoods. For these reasons, I am voting against the proposed zone change. I am deeply concerned about the deterioration of the farmhouse property, which has stood vacant. However, I am committed to working with local business owners, including Marty Patton and Chris Mabey, to explore thoughtful, comprehensive development for the East End. I would gladly host a community-wide gathering at my home to bring together residents and business leaders to discuss a vision for that area.
Camerata.
I'm gonna vote no, and the reason why I'm voting no is because I don't know if we have all our paperwork in order. As far as the secret process, the referral.
So,
239 from the county.
Vote to deny, you don't have to have the secret determination, so secret will only be required for a vote to approve. There are only 4 board members, so a tie on the motion would be a failure of that motion, but still be in the same position, so we still see what the vote is.
So,
But in order to, you do not have to do seeker if the action is going to be to deny the application. But if there's going to be a vote to approve, then we do need a full seeker resolution.
I see.
So no to the rezone, no to the,
Motion to deny.
got it.
So it's 2-1.
Oh,
So motion fails. If there's a motion to approve and it's the same vote, then it would be considered denying the application.
Okay, just repeat that again. If there's,
There's a motion to approve the application and it's still 2-2, then the application is denied.
so I'll make the motion. No, I'm not going to. That's not my job to do that. You're correct.
the motion didn't
Correct.
pass. That, so, at this point, we'll move on.
So isn't it, have we done enough due diligence to put it to rest? Can it be considered denied, or do we have to go through that second part of the vote?
You would need the second part. The public hearing is closed, so you have a certain time period to act on the application.
We just did.
But it sounds like we need another
It
vote.
has to be a different motion. So the motion has to be to approve, and that has to not pass. The motion was to deny, and there's a tie.
Alright.
So it's denied.
Let's do it as a housekeeping, just so we don't have to keep bringing people out.
Yes.
So anyone can make a motion.
So,
We're deadlocked.
No, there's a motion to approve and that's denied. A motion to deny the ties
Is it inaction? All right, well then,
rephrase it, Kim.
well, no, because, well,
It's okay, we can get through it, we're gonna get through it. So you're looking for a motion,
I guess I'm looking for a motion to approve the,
but she,
because we have to vote it down. Correct?
Correct.
Please
Help her
put
with
it
the
in there
words.
that I'm making the motion so that we can put it to bed. I'm making a motion to approve the Emmons farmhouse parcel.
and so,
So just second it.
just second it. And now we vote,
And now you're gonna vote no,
right.
unless you change your mind.
I'm not changing my mind, we gotta go to bed, all of us. Okay, so this is, I vote no on the rezone.
Turkey,
No.
Cameron,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Now we put it to bed, right? Like, it's a done, like,
It's denied.
denied. Go home, everybody, thanks.
Okay, we will now finally move to our committee reports, starting with.
There's no rezoning. No rezoning. No rezoning. No rezoning. 2-2.
Yes.
Correct, the motion to rezone is denied. Your game is denied. I know, it doesn't sound right, Cam. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're still at a public meeting, so if you're leaving, please leave quietly so we can continue our business. We have committee reports here. We're going to start with highway, water, and sewer. Trish, before we start, I'd like to introduce our new highway superintendent.
I was gonna do that.
Cody Schmidt. People in the audience that stuck around, thank you. He has taken over from our interim highway superintendent, post Jim Murphy's. Jason Oblinski resigned. Cody started a week or so ago. He's been doing an excellent job. He is an elected position, so he will be on the ballot as a write-in. We think he's doing a fantastic job, so please welcome him to the town.
And please, when you vote on November 4th, write his name in.
Yes.
And spell it right.
And is it SCHMITT?
That's correct, yes.
Please, Cody, CODY, SCHMITT. Write in for highway superintendent.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you and welcome. Trish, if you can start,
So,
talk like an
glad
auctioneer.
I welcomed you, Cody, that is on my list too. All of us welcome you forward in the town. Brush and leaf schedule, the last 3 Mondays in October, so you can leave those out on the last 3 Mondays, brush and leaf. I'm gonna refer to Joe, he worked on a V-Plow purchase for the water department vehicle, so Joe, I'm gonna pass it to you. Sure, do that, go ahead. Whoever wants to do it.
With me, I have the areas. I kind of give.
No, that's all right. Oh, we got three quotes.
We got 3 quotes here. Palmer's out of Oxford, for $10,247. Trucks Outfitter for $9,208. The difference between them, the shoe kit is not included on the trucks, and the rubber deflector. So there's a little bit of difference there. As you notice, there's an $817 rebate. I'm going to ask Palmer's about that, if they did that rebate. And then Cody got one from 3D Welding out of Andy's, which was $10,052. In our committee meeting, it looks like Palmer's has one in stock. Trucks said 4 to 6 weeks, maybe. And you know time of year it is, so I think we're better off. I'm not gonna follow you. They've done work for us before, very efficient. It's a 2-year warranty on the plow and maintenance.
Do you wanna make a motion for that purchase?
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Would you just say the name of the?
Palmer's.
Yep. And the amount.
$10,247.
As the next one. Potentially less with the rebate.
A second Joe's motion.
Okay, clerk, call the roll, please.
Rudolphs.
Yes.
Turkey.
Yes.
Cameron.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
All in favor, motion
Thank you.
Great, going to the next one, so Joe and I talked about this quickly. I have down to approve revised sweeper rental quote. Jason was given a $9,150 quote for renting the sweeper. And now I called today and she said that Jason was told $11,500. I need to get clarification on that. So we don't need to pay them. So I'm gonna put that over to next month, on the meeting, I'll get the clarification, but it may be just over $2,000 more to rent that. And it was Cody, I'll just pull out my notes quick. It's a little bit different. The one that Jason wanted, Jason didn't secure the reservation, if you will, to do that. So the one that, Lynn I spoke to, she said that it's a 500X and it dumps differently. There's no catch basin hose. Okay, so I can talk to you about that. I think it will still be fine, but if you want to talk with them too, asking more questions okay, so I'll put that over to next month. It gives you time to, Cody, if you want to work on that. Okay. But it may be more than we thought. There may have been, I don't know where the disconnect was, if it was Jason and Lynn, or I'm not sure what happened. Okay, moving on. Doug's International truck, that's number 173, needs a switch the rear discharge to a front discharge. And Cody worked on this. So Cody, would you mind sharing about the front discharge?
Sure, some of this happened before I stepped in. We currently have purchased all the parts to make this switch happen. What we need to do now is we're being charged for the labor to provide that switch, and also in doing so, by doing some inspections, the bed chain for that truck is in horrible shape. It's been repaired many times, so there's a little more work that might need to go into this. So we've got a couple quotes. There's one from Henderson who we purchased the parts from for $10,210, and with a time frame of late December, early January. He redirected us to, and he is located in Watertown, so we have that time and able to do that. And then he referred us to somebody more local in the Stamford area, and for the same, quoting the same things, he came in at $9,270. So closer to home, and a savings of $950.
Which we already approved at a previous meeting, about half that money. If it was, Trish, if you remember, it was 2 months ago, we approved the
Right.
The contract with Henderson for, I believe it's
43 and change, I think.
Yeah,
is what we
43.
said.
4,300, so of that, what's additional we're looking at is the chain replacement, and the labor associated with that, and the sprockets.
Sprockets, and also fixing like the steel on the bottom of the floor that the chain runs on as well, which is part of the problem. The chain catches on that and breaks the chain.
So the difference is like $5,500.
So that's what we'd be looking to approve.
Yeah.
So how would you want to word the motion, Brett?
So you could do it with a maximum cost of $10,000.
10,210.79?
The part, we've already purchased the parts as well. The parts are already there. It's mostly the labor, and then the additional parts for the chain. And they have to take a lot of part to get this. They're the removal of the rear discharge, to make it just a side discharge, and all the hydraulics associated and electric with that.
And it is a main plow truck as well.
Yeah, you can get it in about the next couple weeks.
And he can do it within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We're on crunch time.
I'll make a motion to approve the $500.
I'll second that.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Fergie.
Yes.
Kimberly.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great. Joe's worked hard on the swimming pool. So Joe, would you like to give us an update on how that's going?
The gutters are in place, all welded, ready to go for grout underneath. They installed all the bracing for the steps, and the concrete for the steps are gonna be poured October 17th at 10 o'clock, so if anybody's bored, they can swing down and look at it. They're working on all the plumbing in the pump house and outside rest of this week and next week, so we can backfill. And the poly liner is ordered. As soon as the plumbing's done, that'll be installed.
Poly is here, as a matter of fact, they have it in the warehouse.
Yeah, it's here and all that. They're gonna install it, fill it 3/4 of the way up, and the startup will be in the spring on the pool. So that's where we're at right now.
Thanks for all your hard work, Joe. Also, we all thank Pete Andrews for bringing in more Southside businesses in the water district online. So we've got more commercial water supplies online, which is great. Cody brought up at our meeting, he has spoke with the Milford Town Supervisor, who it's from Banner Road on Gifford Hill Road, starting at Banner Road in the town of Milford, over to the town line coming towards Oneonta. On Gifford Hill Road, he's reduced the speed in the town of Milford to 35 miles an hour. So that was an interesting discussion, and Brian added, that we no longer, that municipalities used to be tied to getting these kinds of zone reductions done.
I can maybe bring that up in our legislation through to allow municipalities the right to change speeds in areas.
I don't know if
Okay.
Could you look into it for us for the next meeting, because I think it would make it more uniform, that strip of Gifford Hill Road from the four corners at Peebles and Gifford Hill Road going towards the town of Milford on Gifford Hill, past Michelle's, and that is a densely populated residential area, and we always slow down because there are children and animals, and sometimes they're the cat that sits right in the road, and maybe it's Jeff's, I'm not sure, but it's not a bad idea. If we have that leeway, I'd like to explore that. It's a height, it used to take really a huge, tremendous thing to get a speed reduction.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's great. So we'll just kind of keep that in the back of your mind so we can discuss further, not on a long night. Cody, Joe, anything else? Anybody? Brett, you've been doing a lot of highway supervisor.
No.
Anybody? Anything?
Cody arranged for our brush pile to be ground into mulch, so if anyone needs mulch, we've got a lot of it. We tagged off the city had it grind their mulch pile, or their brush pile, excuse me, and he was able to get it last Monday. They worked Monday and a little bit into Tuesday, correct? It's pretty much all gone now, which is good to do that at least once a year, once every other year. Now we have a lot of mulch, so if residents want mulch, it's there for the taking. We certainly couldn't use the pile that's there in our wildest streams. So that's what I got.
I'd like just to take a moment to just express publicly my sincere thanks to Brett for taking over the highway superintendent, and I mean, just the amount of work and additional everything that was just placed on you, as well as the supervisor position. It was really incredible, and Joe, thank you for helping him out. Cody, we're really glad that you're here because it was a lot, and they did a fantastic job.
Joe said
So
your
thank
phone
you.
rang a lot.
It has.
I'm happy to give it to you.
We'll get it ironed out.
You could have thrown it right in that mulcher if you wanted.
Yeah.
Although it's a new phone.
He's not gonna, no, we're not gonna do that. Okay, that's it on, Joe, nothing else from your end? Okay, all set, we'll move on, Brett, thanks.
All right, one last thing. Did you complete the sand today, or?
I believe so. I left 2 minutes early to go to my daughter's soccer game, but I will check tomorrow.
Seems like we
See
got all the sand we need for the year.
It looks much better than it did a week ago, that's for sure.
Awesome. All right, so we'll move on to public safety. We don't have much for public safety. We're just waiting on the constable vehicle. I can't get here soon enough because the current one's been having one problem after another, but that's what happens. We use them. Facility technologies and parks, nothing on that either. Kim, legislative?
Yeah, just an update on our short-term rental ad hoc committee. Our committee finalized our work and we presented it to the full board. So, Melissa, thank you for sticking with that. I don't know if Andrea's still here, she snuck out. But it was a lot. It was like peeling onions. It's just more and more layers. If this was easy, this would have been solved years ago. So it was presented to the full board, and we just had a conversation, a very brief conversation about it on Monday. So we did not feel prepared or ready to do any sort of presentation. But our hope is that we can give a presentation to the community about our findings in November. But check the agenda just to make sure.
I can say things now, I can say things in November,
Well, maybe it'd be good to wait for the presentation.
Probably, there's
But if there's anything you wanted to for us, the breadth of the board that was not on it, that
sure, I might as well, and I can come back.
Since
again.
we've all read it, I hope. Go ahead.
Melissa Jervis, I'm from East Street in Oneonta. I was on the committee. I own short-term rentals. I manage them for other people. That's the context that I bring to this committee and the community. I have a whole thing that I'll submit for the minutes, but part of what I did was a lot of research around short-term rentals that they make up. Well, okay, so we did a survey. I don't want to step before what the presentation will be, but the survey respondents were very small. The number of them was very small in comparison to the number of residents in the town. So statistically speaking, insignificant in looking at it from a data perspective. 0.9% I think was the number. I think that there's a lot of discussion around the lack of housing, or this feeling that there's a lack of housing for long-term residents to purchase or rent. And the short-term rental permits that are owned by non-primary residents, so you don't live there and rent it just for the summer, but you own a house and you rent it for that sole purpose, they make up under 3% of our total housing inventory. So when I think about the concern about the lack of housing, I think short-term rentals make up such a small percentage of the housing stock that if we're trying to solve the problem of available housing to rent or purchase for long-term, we might be aiming at the wrong target, and it's just a very visible target, so I think it's easy to talk about short-term rentals, and if you really curtail them, then we might solve the housing issue, but I don't believe that's true based on so because I'm involved in this business, there is some concern that a full-time short-term rental sits vacant in the off-season. That's not true. I can tell you that is absolutely not true. Right now, I'm housing people that were displaced by fires in their own home. I'm housing people who are actually renting long-term for the entire year. So I have a short-term rental permit for a house, but I'm not using it because I'm housing somebody full-time. I'm housing midterm rentals for nurses and doctors and things like that, people that work in our community. So there's a need for this type of housing, not just baseball. There's a need for it. There's been no formal complaints in 2024 or 2025. Our regulations work. I think there's opportunity to always improve, share best practices, learn from reputable hosts. How do we continue to make that better? But I don't think we're solving the problem of a housing issue by restricting short-term rentals in some sweeping potential change. We can talk more about it the next time.
So hopefully soon, we'll have a, I don't know.
Well, I
How do
think
you want
it's,
to say
well, I think it's
presentation
good
on?
to just, I mean, to show what we found and what we looked at, I mean, to present to the community.
It's, and that in itself could really be another meeting simply because you touched on so many different things
Yes.
that there's a lot to kind of
It is.
take in and think what's the right answer based on all those different things.
You know, and maybe that's the way to think about it, maybe we do these sort of, meetings, specialized types of meetings where we can spend time really thinking and listening and getting involved in something.
I think honestly that maybe the answer moving forward
Yeah.
for some of these
Big
bigger
issues.
hot topics, because on our committee meetings, sometimes we kind of rush through things because there's just not enough time today to talk about them all.
Yeah,
And so for the ones that take a deeper understanding, I think that's what we might want to consider moving forward.
Yeah. I like your idea about that.
But, so let's think about how we want to address that and make a presentation so anyone and everyone can hear it and just like anything else, have the opportunity to comment, ask questions, and then we take that in and figure out what we want to do next from there. If anything, we may not want to do anything. As you said, we may realize when it's all said and done, we're not manufacturing a problem, but we're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. But I think we need to all talk about that. Thank you. Attorney. Nope, I skipped over a whole bunch. Human resource, no, we don't have that anyways. Attorney, anything? No. Code enforcement. Clinton, our new code enforcer. So we got Cody, we got Clinton, we got a lot of new names. We're getting name tags. We actually did buy a name tag machine. For different reasons, nevertheless. Clinton's doing an excellent job as well. He started to obviously do his inspections as every code enforcer would do, but he's also started to aggressively target some of the subject properties that we've had that have been blighted must be the best word, and had numerous complaints. So he's starting to chop at that, which is good. We've already seen results. If you've driven by Reinhardt there, that property had been overgrown, and we're finally getting some actual items. Mowing the grass was a big step. So one thing at a time, but in his free time, which he doesn't have a lot of, because he's filling 1.5 positions, he's taken on that little, I guess you'd say, side project. So that's good. The next thing we have is a resolution. Resolution number 2025-0128. Oh, it changed? 131. So 0131? Okay. Let's be a little The proposed action, the Cooperstown All-Star Village Water System Improvements Projects Resolution determining that the proposed Cooperstown All-Star Village Water System Improvements Project is an unlisted action and will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. So that's the proposed resolution.
Is this part of the engineering process that we have to do, or why do we have to do this resolution?
Close seeker.
To what?
That's their close seeker on the water project from
Okay.
the city to the campus.
So it's part of the.
Secret, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, environmental review. Yep, and also part of the district formation.
I'm sorry, this.
And also part of the district formation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
For district
okay,
number 2,
yeah.
right.
For district number 2.
West End Water District number 2.
Number 2.
002. So this is, yes, part of the project, or part of the process, excuse me. So we'll do we need to vote on that? Yeah, okay. So I'd like to make a motion that the proposed action will not have significant adverse impact on the environment.
So it's a legal secret.
So, and at the same time declare that
Yeah. That's unlisted action will not have a significant adverse impact on that. The board issue a negative declaration.
Okay, so add that the board declare a negative declaration. So that's a motion.
I'll second that.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Sturkey.
Yes.
Kimball.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes. Okay, next item is a vote to accept the minutes of the July and September meetings.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes of the July and September meetings.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, we'll have a vote to approve the payment of the bills.
I make a motion, we approve payment of the bills.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Not only passed, but we will have our second privilege of the floor. Looks like we have seemingly less people. If there's anyone here that has anything for the good of the order, please raise your hand. We'll recognize. You had your hand up first. I guess you win. Go ahead. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Brecht Gander. I live at 6319 State Highway 7. I want to address the Eco Yada proposal. I believe it's a third presentation, and I noticed that many members of the board seemed befuddled and confused about what the nature of their proposal is, and I think that in itself is very telling. I own a small business and I'm a partner in another small business, and if you run a business, it's pretty easy to explain how your business works, and I think it's very strange that it's so unclear after multiple rounds of presentation what Eco Yada's business is. And I think the explanation for that is quite simple, and it's probably because there's some obfuscation going on. Because it's not a business to have interns come from a college. That's not a real business. Like, you don't make money doing that. It's not a business to grow lettuce with $1 million heating equipment, which is actually a server in a space the size of a garage. That's not a real business. So what is a real business, what we all understand and can get our heads around, and what's easy to understand, is that there's a ton of money in data centers. That's something that's clearly making money. And that is what makes sense here. So just sort of to cut down to what actually is comprehensible, like what's not really confusing, is that if there's tens of millions of dollars being invested, they probably have a plan to make money. And it's not amorphous. It's something they can explain very easily. It's not like they're having meetings with their investors and they're like, well, we might grow oranges or we might grow some lettuce. We're not quite sure how much, but it's going to be next to some offices. We'll make a kind of artistic picture of what it's going to look like. We can't tell you exactly the square footage. We can't tell you exactly how much energy it's going to consume, but give us $30 million. So if we put it together, I mean, the garage was 1,000 square feet. That was $1 million. So The barn, 10,000 square feet, so then we've got 10 million. The initial proposal, 200,000 square feet, so there we've got 20 million, so we're looking at $30 million invested to grow some lettuce and teach some kids how to do it. I don't think so. That's ridiculous. What's the reason we're all confused is because we're trying to absorb something that doesn't make sense, which is that a business model that's not real. What's the real business model? The real business model is a data center. That's how you make money. And what do data centers do? Is they require gigantic amounts of electricity. And then what happens is the utility companies have to build more infrastructure to supply that electricity. And then what happens is they pass that cost onto the ratepayers in general. So we all here end up subsidizing this company, which is telling us that they're going to spend $30 million to grow lettuce, an unknown quantity of lettuce, unknown other vegetables, and teach a couple of students how to do that using data centers. And they don't claim this is like a proprietary technology. You know, they say other people have this idea. So it's just that it's not a real, there's no like return on investment that makes sense there. So I appreciate the questions that were asked earlier that started to get to this point by the board, because I think that is the essential thing to unlocking like how this makes sense. And it becomes much less confusing if you just think about what the plan is to make money, because it's not something because if they have a plan to make money, and that plan is something that they can explain, because they've had to explain it to themselves. They need to know how they're going to make money, and they've had to explain it to other people who are investing with them. And the fact that they can't explain it to you in a way that you understand is the sign of something besides just being forthright and clear. That's what I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Brett Gander.
Jason?
Oh yeah, just kind of going back, so we got the seeker done for the water system. The next step was the board accepted the map plan report. We have the seeker for the infrastructure. I guess the next step is for the board to have a resolution approving the district based on the map plan report. I know it's kind of contingent with West End Water District number 1. Is that something we can look forward to next board meeting?
You got anything back from the city?
No. I can get on that. I'll follow up on that. Whatever.
I guess that we're kind of at a standstill now until we get stuff in the system for me.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have the map plan review, or are you working on a map plan review?
No, I've already submitted it to you guys.
Okay,
You guys
okay.
approved
That's
it
what I didn't
3 meetings ago.
It hasn't changed, right? I have it in my notes. I have the whole map plan, so it's all the same.
Everything's the same.
Okay.
And we're working on the design now for a year. Well, so we have some time, but it's more of just.
Don't forget about that hydrant.
Oh, I got all the items. We're good.
Alright.
Did
Yeah,
you,
we got everything.
did you say that
You know what you want to
District
do.
1 is
Absolutely.
dependent
The
on
number
District 2?
number 2 is hinged on district number 1.
So we have to approve 1 first?
Well, no, we
We did that?
did we approve one? I honestly don't know.
The city is asking us for them to, okay, we have to approve the West End district.
Right.
Okay.
They want us to approve district number 1
Yeah.
so that they can collect on back water
Right.
bills.
Yeah, I thought-
But there was some verbiage in there that we didn't like, so we went back and forth with it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't followed up with it. It hasn't really come up. I haven't heard anything, so I'm gonna follow up.
Okay, but that's not contingent on theirs.
Oh, theirs is contingent on ours.
Or theirs is contingent, okay.
Yeah.
The city will not supply the facility water until both districts are formed.
They're kind of holding them hostage.
Gotcha.
Hold on, stop it.
By holding us hostage, yes. Yeah. So,
I think Rob's got something.
I remember going back and forth with them about some wording on certain issues, and I really don't. It's on my desk, I can tell you that, but I don't remember where we left off. So, yeah, we'll follow up on that, Jason.
Okay. I'll follow up with, with the approving resolution.
Yeah. Is there anyone else? Walt, yeah. Oh, no, I thought you were walking up to say something.
I think you moved down the street.
Oh, okay. Again, my name's Ramona Lutker. I just want to speak a little bit to the proposal of this project here. Sorry if my notes and thoughts are a little scattered, just trying to listen and write some questions down. You know, again, I'll go back to what I shared earlier. Is there other available space that is already zoned for what the project is asking to do? I think that needs to be looked at first. I do think we need to think about the neighborhoods and the people that live there. You know, your house, your property is usually your biggest life investment. And I don't think that we should be diminishing that for anybody. That's a hardship that can be on people. You know, I think you guys asked a lot of questions already. Like, I don't think there's a clear picture on the power consumption. You know, what about later growth? It was mentioned about in the future maybe lengthening the grow season, because there are already comments there about expanding and growing and going further with this project if it's successful. I would guess, you know, in the beginning stages. You know, and going back to, and I know you guys are asking this, like they talk about, you know, that it would have to come back to the board for any continued growth, that you have that control and you have that oversight. I guess, you know, you'd have to know that in the paperwork that comes forth. You know, that would have to be extremely clearly stated and in there. You kind of going to a point that this gentleman made, I think they shared about putting $1 to $2 million, I think, in to start it was. Well, if you're putting that much money in, I imagine that you're looking to expand and do a heck of a lot more. You know, where are you going to get your income from, or your earnings from, or your, what do I want to say?
Return on investment.
Returns, thank you, that's a lot more professional. You know, there has to be something going there. There does not seem to be a true, real MOU or plan with the SUNY school systems. I think there's open discussion, but I didn't really hear that there's a definite happening there. They're open to discussion, and I think that part, you know, I think there are positives like trying to move forward and all of that. I don't think that people don't want to move forward, and you love to work with the colleges. I think that's good, but I think there are a lot of unknowns and a lot of questions here. You know, like at first we don't talk about servers, and then servers are mentioned in there. So how many servers? And if we expand, how many more servers? And does it become one of those data centers? I don't know. I just, going along, you know, the board was pretty clear that you guys have a lot of questions and uncertainties too, and I think that that was pretty much highlighted in the discussion tonight. You know, again, I guess for me, again, just respecting that people live around there, and that's their investment, that's their life goal, and I think it's important to be respectful of that.
I think for me as a resident, not just a board member, echoing what Patty said too, when we buy our homes, we're picking the zones where we want to live, the residential, agricultural, or if we live in the B2, we maybe want to live near business, you know, shops and more businesses. But I think it's I want the people to trust when they buy their properties that the character of the neighborhood stays.
Just one thing to address though, and this has come up over and over again in this meeting alone, we as the board, when people say someone wants to do a business, it's the application that's in front of us. We can't suggest other locations. Right. We can't shop other people's properties for them and things of that nature. We have to address what that particular person is, whether we agree with it or not. We have to address it and go through the process. But we've had a lot of people telling us we should try doing other properties for that, but that's not the role of our role. An economic developer might do that, but that certainly is not our role.
Or I think that's where the public forum gets to come in, and we get to, you get to hear from the public and the people that aren't impacted by that. I understand what you're saying and respect that. And the only other thing I would say in regard to that, and this gentleman brought it up also, you know, our cost is NYSEG or our cost going to go up through NYSEG? I would want to guarantee that no, that the company pays any increase in cost. It definitely should not be coming to us. That could be an extremely unfair thing. And unless those guarantees can be in there, that's a problem for me.
Pay attention to the governor, she's pushing for all of it.
Oh, well, that's a whole nother discussion. So, thank you.
Carol.
I'm just gonna give a plug that they are doing a public hearing on rates and plans for NYSEG on the 16th. So if you go to their website, you can get more details. But if you have
whose website?
SUNY Oneonta's, they're for the location, and then you have until October 24th to put in comments based on the plan they're proposing.
For their third rate increase.
I believe some virtual options as well, I believe.
And
So,
online until the
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no
Just
other
give
comments,
some
I guess.
clarifications. So, like, I understand everyone keeps saying that, why did we purchase that agricultural land, right? In agricultural land, we want to do agriculture. Hydroponics is considered as agriculture. Data center, yes, industrial. Hydroponics is agriculture. That answers the question, why we purchased agricultural land. Second question, everyone is saying it is a data center, okay? When we are doing agriculture, using a technology and integrating into that particular technology, hydroponics here, agriculture, we should not be calling it as a data center. We are just utilizing the technology here, but we cannot name it as a data center. That is a fundamental difference between agriculture and data center. And everyone is keep saying that, oh, we are going to use a lot of power here. As we already explained, we are not going to use a lot of power. We are going to size the servers, use the technology to heat the facility. That is the technology we are using. And everyone is keep naming it as a data center. And we are keep on explaining it again and again, saying that it is not a data center. We are just utilizing the technology. And someone said, oh, we have children here and we are worried about the cancer. What is that we are talking about? It is nonsensical for me when someone says, I'm worried about cancer. If you look at radiation from our phone, mobile phones, that creates more harm than a server does. Because you are not sitting at the server all the time, but you are sitting with your mobile all the time. That creates more damage to you than a server. And the radiation we are talking, we have to talk about the numbers, how much radiation we are talking about. Not just like, spreading the fear into the public. I'm just trying to provide answers to the public who is asking these questions, naming it as a data center. I'm just giving that explanation. It is not a data center. We are just utilizing the technology here. And there are so many projects already in running, hydroponics. And if anyone says, oh, they don't know what they are doing the business, we have multiple different businesses. We run, we know how we operate. We do that. And I do own a farm in South Jersey. And if we are not making profit, then why we are doing this? Yes, at some point, even though it is a negative balance sheet, at some point you will make money. On day one, you will not make profits. That's fundamentals of business. So cash flow will keep increasing and ROA will come at some point. That is a strategy, how you do a business, that we don't have to explain it to each and every one. If a business person will understand what exactly it is. And okay, this is a research and development. Yes, we have to put some money to develop a model. As I explained before, we are creating a model here, how best we can utilize the technology to integrate it with hydroponics or the agriculture to make it as a sustainable energy to produce fresh produce 365 days. That is the ultimate goal. And if we are able to create that and give it to the technology to the local farmers, spread it out, give it freely. There's nothing wrong in doing that. Not everything is for profit. Always everyone keeps saying how you're going to make money out of it. Why you keep on talking about making profits every time? There is a community aspect. When you are donating some money, you are not expecting anything out of that. You are giving it as a good heart. Why you are expecting something profit out of it? This is also something research and development. When we are doing something, we are giving something to the community. We explained how beneficial if we have AI servers. AI servers does not mean a data center here. Yes, AI servers will be there. That will benefit a lot of students here. There will be internships will be there. And it is because of 365 days of farming, it will create a consistent job, employment because in farming, we have a set period of time. And in winter, there is no farming. But because of this, there will be standard employment will be created 365 days. There are so many advantages out there. But calling it as a data center always, it is giving a negativity to the whole project. because we are just comparing apples to oranges. Compare apples to apples and compare orange to oranges. Just don't say that because these are all fruits, we'll just compare them. No, that is wrong. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Might I add to this, and this is my opinion. I'm not speaking as a board member. The narrative that you are trying to talk about has completely left you. Meaning, look at all the people that showed up today because they want to talk about data center. Where are they getting their information? Somebody posts something online from somebody from somewhere and all of a sudden there's a huge data center that's coming into Oneonta. I don't think that was ever your intention from the beginning.
That's what we keep on saying that.
But look at the narrative. I actually, again, I'm starting to uncover what you're talking about. I think there's some really cool potential here. But what I'm concerned about is the connections that keep going back to the computer servers. Right now, people are connecting data center. That's all people are thinking about. So I think you need to take back you need to take a narrative.
So here is the problem, like what's happening is every time when we speak about AI servers, right? What they know out in the internet, they go and they Google search and they talk about AI data server. That is what happened. And yesterday I saw a post, I don't want to take name, who is running for the supervisor. He made a big post. Does he know anything about our project? But he said there is a data center coming in Oneonta. That's a misinformation. That's the reason everyone came here.
Right.
And we got 13 calls. We got messages on our website. Go back to your country. Is this considered like a racism? Yes, I feel it as, I took it as very personally. When someone is, I'm coming with a noble idea and someone is saying, go back to your country, that is not fair to us. But how it is happening? Because people don't know the project, but they just keep on narrating it as a data center. If you don't know, don't speak about it or try to learn about it. If someone, before posting, if they came and approached us, hey, I came to know, people told about it, it's very negativity, can I know more about it? So that it will help me in talking in the town board. Yes, we would have, we are very open, we are talking to everyone, and we would have explained it. Instead of that, going onto the social media, talking negatively about it, saying it as an open, I think it is spreading misinformation than doing any good to the public.
Right, but this is for you to control, and I am desperately sorry that those things happen to you. I'm disgusted by all of that. But why don't you put your plan on your website? Why don't you start? And it's 10:30, but
Yeah, I understand. We are since day one. We are keep on saying. Since day one, we never changed our plan. Phase 1 we said, phase 2 we said, phase 3 we said.
But that's not the perception.
We are open here.
Because unfortunately, they just want to hone in on the first thing that they heard. Even at the second time we presented at the town board, we brought up hydroponics.
Yes.
When we went to the planning board, we started talking about the hydroponics. Board members amongst themselves started arguing. One wanted to hear the science, the other didn't want to. They didn't care about what we had to say. Our meeting was cut up abruptly. I can't help it that people don't understand what we're saying.
I would love to learn if this is like a proprietary
and this is
research project that's gonna like change the world and is gonna be like.
So that's why we're gonna have an initial
So
meeting.
I would love to see all the proposals that were proposed. So then there wouldn't be misunderstanding. Then we could Google it and we could be like, it's like, I feel like there is a lack of information and there is like a enormous influx of data centers in small towns, and we're like,
There's also, hold on, you're putting in a bunch of servers. That is, if I put a plant in a gun store, I can't say I have a nursery. Okay, the fact that you have some plants in a room with a ton of servers that are generating money by processing data doesn't mean you can't say you have a data center.
Okay, but you don't need town board approval or planning board approval to do that.
But you do. At a massive scale, you do. That's why you're here.
When you say massive scale.
We can't have an argument at this point of the night, or this is just open comment. You were supposed to say if you had something to say for the good of the order. I think we'd love to close this meeting. We plan on having more information, we plan on asking information for you, and seeing exactly what this is, what you're talking about, because I don't think we have a grasp on it. And rather than be led by disinformation or misinformation, delve a little deeper into this. I think that's what we need to do, because if what you're saying is true, you know, we could potentially learn from something. Ms. Jacobs. Let's make you the last
just a thought for a question. What are the credentials here? What is the experience here? You know, what have the people that want to do this done like this in the past that they could show us they can? What are the credentials? Where did this come from?
Those are some of all the questions we had to ask.
Yeah,
So-
that's what
so-
And the first proposal was a full-out data center with upgraded infrastructure and the whole bit, so.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn.
It's a public comment period, I would like to say one thing.
Sure, dude. I didn't see your hand up.
Yeah, well, because he was standing prior and you couldn't see behind. So the data center idea came from them. I mean, that's what they proposed, and they've scaled it back and scaled it back, but it's lipstick on a pig. I mean, and we all feel that the way to make money off of this is off of a data center. And if they want to do agriculture, they're permitted to do agriculture with no zoning change. They're requesting a zoning change, so why do you need the zoning change if you're just going to do agriculture? I mean, it's as simple as that. So, you know, and that's why people are so opposed to it, because we all saw what the original proposal was. And do we believe that that's really what has changed? Or is it just getting your foot in the door to where you can then expand ultimately and make money off of it? And I think this gentleman hit the nail on the head. And unless you can explain it clearly in a way that makes it clear to everybody how you're going to make money off of it, not just for the good of the community, as you say, nobody's going to believe you. Put up the information if it really is true, what you say, that you make money off of agriculture, and then you don't need the zoning change.
Thank you. Make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Second. Clerk, you call the roll.
All in favor?
Thank you all for